was your birthday?
I did exactly what I wanted to do, Jay.
Yeah.
And that was have the day off of work. I didn't have anything planned, but I just wanted to be able to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. And it was the most standard, regular day that you could ever imagine. And it was perfect because of that. So, had lunch with some friends, my friend Patrick and our longtime producer Goodman. So that was nice. We had
the
some
one
Thai.
that works at the Red Mile?
It is, but I haven't told you this. And Goodman, are you okay if I announce this right now?
Yeah.
He's moving to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati sucks ass.
So we're going to celebrate.
Sorry for anybody that lives in Cincinnati.
We're going to celebrate Goodman's final show here in the next couple weeks. Is that right, Goodman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that longtime producer of the show, Goodman, been here since day one. He will be moving to Cincinnati. Yeah. So forgive me while I open this LaCroix.
Can I tell you something funny real quick? This is hilarious to me.
Okay.
So met up with Kristen Smith. We can talk about that in a minute. But
I was going to bring it up later. I just spilled LaCroix all over myself.
Met up with Kristen Smith outside of a Starbucks, of course, just to keep up with a joke. Eric came up in conversation.
Like, she knows, like, I know she knows who Eric is, but
maybe.
Like, did you bring him up or did she bring him up?
I brought him up.
Will you do me a favor? Will you follow the recording?
The whole time?
Yeah, it drives me nuts when I can't see the recording. Is that possible?
There, is that better?
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She had to go down to Nashville, and I guess that's where some people that she knows lives. And I was like, oh yeah, you know Ryan's friend. Oh, I guess it's our friend Eric that we talk about all the time. And she's like,
Ryan's friend.
And I was like, that's where he lives. He lives down there. That was it. I just thought it was funny that I still found a way to bring up Eric in a side conversation with Kristen Smith. Yeah, that was it.
Anyway, so then I went home and I don't know what I did. Watched some Collider, probably played some Battlefront, and
all right, sounds great.
Then I had dinner with my best friend Sturgill and his family, and Sturgill's going to be seeing The Last Jedi with us, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, whatever.
We can hear a bunch of shitty Sturgill stories that take 30 minutes for no reason. And so anyway, it was
remembering being born and this and that.
Right. So it's just relaxed, very simple, fun birthday. And I had like 3 birthday meals. I got my family to treat me and my sister. I don't know if I've ever said this. My younger sister Taylor is 7 years younger than I am, but she was born on my 7th birthday. So November 28th. Is both of our birthdays.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think I knew that until you tweet.
Surprise!
Instagram something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I have 2 sisters. I don't even know if I brought that up.
Present time.
Here we go.
You ready for present time?
Yeah, this has been building. Jay and I have been together for hours already. He revealed to me that he was going to do this while we were recording.
That's right.
Are you giving me this folding chair?
I've already given you 2 presents.
Yeah, you paid for my Waffle House, which you didn't need to do, and you brought me a LaCroix, which doesn't classify as a present, but that is what you're.
But I don't regularly keep LaCroix stocked in the house.
That's true. I don't know why.
I don't know. They go fast.
You're required to keep LaCroix for me in your fridge. I don't know why you don't.
Part of the writer for the show. Write that down, Mark and Christian, for when we work at Collider. You
too, Goodman.
You actually asked for a present this year.
I did not.
Whether you know it or not. Yeah, you did.
I did not. I told you specifically.
Nope,
I didn't want to.
You asked for a present, and you don't remember it. That's fine. But I got you that present.
For those of you keeping track at home, last year, Jay gave me a $50 Amazon card. This was, again, a year ago, last November. And I was afraid that I was going to have to get him a present to reciprocate. And his birthday was in September. I still haven't given him a gift. So what's happening here is that he is doubling down. And again, I want to stress the fact that I asked you not to do this, but apparently me asking for something cancels out the not asking for it. So here we are.
First of all, let me just say this. often like to take the high road on things in life. That way I can put that card in my back pocket so that I can use it anytime that I want to.
There's a part of me that it's a smaller part of me that really enjoys this and would love to see how long we could keep this going. Yeah. I would embrace the fact that year after year you get me presents and laugh at the fact that I don't give any back to you. So I find comedy in that.
So what did you ask for your birthday?
For
this year? Yeah,
in general?
You asked me for something for your birthday. What did you ask me?
World peace.
No, what did you ask me?
I don't remember telling anybody what I wanted. I asked my mom.
What did you ask me to do for you for your birthday?
Nothing.
Happy birthday. You don't know, but you asked for me to not get you something. So your birthday present is me not getting you anything. So now it's a double.
No, it doesn't count.
Yes, it does.
I was expecting you to give me something.
And
where the hell is it?
No. See, that's where it's different. That's where it's it's not different. It's that's where I got you. You shouldn't ask for things on your birthday. You should just hope that people get you things.
That's not how growing up works. People ask you what you want for your birthday.
So let's talk about watching Eyes Wide Shut on Netflix. This was interesting.
Okay, but I want to talk about the Facebook group and Kristen and Luke and some people too before we do anything.
Why?
I've got points to make. I've got takes.
What do they matter?
Tell me about Eyes Wide Shut. Never seen it.
So it's a lot of Tom Cruise movies you've never seen.
There are, yeah, definitely.
Tom Cruise on his hoes. I've seen this movie many, many times. And I was never capable of actually comprehending what actually happened in this movie. My parents, when I was growing up, had HBO, and this would come on HBO.
This is what an orgy is, Jay.
And I would watch it over and over and over again just for those nude scenes.
It's your Minority Report.
Just for the nude scenes. And I saw this on Netflix the other day, and I thought to myself, you know what? I have no idea what this movie is even about. And I've seen it so many times.
Right.
So I turned it on to watch it. And first of all, Stanley Kubrick is a fucking genius. I mean, he is... It's been a while since I've actually watched a Kubrick film. My God, he is so good.
And that was our brand new segment, Captain. I'm just giving you shit.
It's just fascinating to see, because I think he was just so ahead of his time in terms of just the sort of cinematography that he was capable of doing, and just simple shots like somebody walking down a hallway. He just
riding a trike through.
Yeah, he just makes
hotel.
It seem so artistic and interesting. The film itself, first of all, I didn't even know there was like a whole second half of it. I thought the movie just ended after the orgy scene. Because that's like all I watched.
Yeah.
Too. And listen, it's an interesting movie with a lot of commentary on just like sexuality, but also marriage and just relationships in general.
But didn't you or Kayla say that you didn't finish it this time? I
don't think she finished it. She didn't really watch it at all. She just watched like a few minutes of it with me.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's kind of a movie about, if I'm being honest, it's kind of a movie about nothing, but just the things that happens in the movie.
Like The Shining.
Just the things that happen in the movie sort of have like greater commentary on things. But it is it's like a fascinating Alice in Wonderland. It's essentially most of the movie takes place during one day. And it's just this guy that keeps going further and further and further down the rabbit hole of like weird sexual things going on in his life in various situations. And he's not even really partaking in any of it, which is a commentary sort of on infidelity and this and that.
Right.
It's an interesting movie.
I feel like it's a movie I could relate to.
Yeah, for sure. It's just fascinating. And
would I like Eyes Wide Shut? Would I appreciate it?
I think you could take some things away from it. I think there's a certain...
Is it gonna make me want to make a movie?
No, it's not a great movie, in my opinion. I think cinematography-wise, it's shot really cool. It's really interesting. It's really cool. A lot of the imagery going on in it is really fascinating. But all in all, at the end of the day, you could never see this movie and still have seen this movie.
It's not the movie that comes off when anyone's like, "Hey, you should watch this Kubrick film," or
can I give you?
This is the essence of Stanley Kubrick. It's never about Eyes Wide Shut.
Can I give you a hot take? I actually feel that way about all Stanley Kubrick movies. I don't think any of them are particularly great. I think they're all really well executed, and I think they're interesting films. But walking away from them, I feel like I'm barely even watching a movie. I just feel like I'm watching like a big art piece.
RB3 just rolled over in his grave.
Well, again, from a technical...
That just killed RB3.
From a technical perspective, it is something to behold. Like I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's just like, man, the visuals of this movie are amazing. But at the end of the day, it's just a psychological exploration.
I think that's interesting to bring up. I've never, ever been sold as to why I should want to watch a Kubrick film.
Yeah.
Like, I just hear that they're masterpieces, but I've never, ever really heard specifics. And maybe if I have heard specifics, I haven't heard anything that's like, I haven't heard anything to buy.
And the narratives themselves are just like so, like Eyes Wide Shut might be one of the most narrative-based films. Well, that's not true. That's complete. I'm sorry. I forgot about Full Metal Jacket, which even that one is kind of doesn't have much of a narrative. It sort of just shows people going through boot camp, and then there's like this big jump where they're just like in a war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
yeah. It's very strange. Like even The Shining doesn't even have much of a narrative. It's just somebody going crazy in a hotel.
I legitimately have no idea what 2001 is about.
Really? It's worth watching.
I mean,
get high and watch it. Movie.
I've seen scenes, I've seen images, the things that everyone has seen. Having not seen the movie, I don't think I've ever realized what the plot actually is.
You know the scene in Doctor Strange? Yeah, I'm going to relate Kubrick to a Doctor Strange movie. You know the scene where the master or whatever like touches his forehead and he goes flying through like this trippy.
Yeah,
that's essentially what the entire last 30 to 40 minutes of that movie is. Like just one giant scene like that.
Is it better than Interstellar?
No. hell no.
That might be, I wonder if like
hell no.
I wonder if people are freaking out hearing you say that.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say this right now, and this can transition into Facebook stuff. I'm sorry, but that there is nothing about 2001: A Space Odyssey other than just the attachment and the romanticism that they have for that movie.
I get it.
That could win over that discussion. The story, and in terms of modern movies and modern storytelling, Interstellar is a better film. I'm sorry. We've progressed past 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm sorry. Guess what? It's fucking great. It's a sight to behold to see the fact that people used to write the entire Bible in manuscript on parchment paper. But guess what? We fucking moved past it.
I get it. I totally get it.
I know you do.
And what's interesting too, this kind of goes back to what we talked about with RB3. And I don't know if we've had this discussion on air aside from this.
Well, first of all, we have to address the fact that RB3 was on Sight and Sound.
Well, we're putting that out tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so but not everybody might have paid attention.
He was on our Mr. Robot discussion, our most recent Mr. Robot discussion, so you can check that out on the channel. But I brought this up there. It's like, look, sometimes I think people hear from adults or seasoned film critics, people that grew up with Star Wars, people that hold that original trilogy in such high regard. Sometimes I think that young kids just like absorb that opinion without actually like. I have a hard time believing, and I'm not saying it's not true, but I'll use Evan DeGraff as an example. He is 17 years old. He has grown up and pretty much he has grown up and only known an era of movies that are basically piloted by something like the MCU. So what? He would have been like 7 or 8 years old when that started.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that it's easy for someone that age who has watched a movie like that type of movie his entire life and seen how movies are made a certain way. I have a hard time believing that you can go back to a movie like 2001 and understand it the way you've understood the cinema that you grew up with. Does that make sense?
100%.
And I can even say it for myself. I grew up on a film like Air Bud, yet I'm supposed to be able to like appreciate something like Citizen Kane so easily? No, I mean,
let me relate it to two things actually. So first of all, let's look at video games. Okay, it's like that scene in Back to the Future 1 when Marty McFly goes and plays the game where he's shooting the whatever. It's like a shooting game or whatever. Actually, it's Back to the Future 2. He goes and plays a shooting game. He's really good at it, and he's trying to impress these kids, and he's really fucking good at it. And then they look at him, they say, "You have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy." I mean, imagine. So, I grew up playing original Super Mario Brothers. Okay?
Yeah.
I have nostalgia for that game. If I were to put that game in front of anybody that's like 10, 11, 12 years old, they would think that the game was boring.
Yes.
And I mean, I think if you were to take somebody that's just completely removed from the movie space and show them an older film that people are like Blade Runner, for instance.
That's a good example.
If you were to take Blade Runner and sit them down in front of somebody that has watched the MCU films, Star Wars, whatever, Force Awakens even, and you were to force them to watch this movie, and you didn't whisper in their ear, "Hey, just so you know, this is renowned as one of the greatest science fiction films of all time," they would just look at it and they'd be like, "This is fucking boring. Turn this off." And
right.
And people are going to say, "Well, they just don't understand." People don't have to understand the nuances of film. They shouldn't be expected to do that in order to enjoy it.
Right.
They just shouldn't. I say the same thing about Childish Gambino's Because the Internet. I think the lyrics are absolutely trash on that album because the only way to get context of what he's actually rapping about is to read this giant screenplay. And people shouldn't have to do that in order to enjoy the lyrical content for that album.
That's a whole other rabbit hole that we could argue
right.
about. But it's like, so in the Facebook group, I put out.
I said trash, by the way. I throw that word around a little too. I meant I don't enjoy them as much.
Okay. By the way, let me clarify. I wasn't saying that Evan DeGraff can't appreciate certain films. I'm saying that it makes a lot more sense to me if he doesn't like older films.
Right.
I have nothing against. There are plenty of older films that I love and adore, but that doesn't mean that they're just that much more precious than anything else that comes out. Going back to my point about Star Wars, any Star Wars movie that comes out today has the ability and potential to be better than any other Star Wars movie. Yeah. I don't care if that 40-year-old film critic grew up with it and nothing will ever replace seeing A New Hope in theaters.
Right.
I don't care about that. If The Last Jedi comes out and it's better than The New Hope, I will fucking say it. So anyway.
Well, it kind of goes back to that whole thing that Mark Ellis said that one time where he made a statement. I don't know if he actually agrees with it or not, but he made a statement like, I don't think any new Star Wars movie could ever be better than the original trilogy. Remember when he said that one time?
I don't know, but that's false.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we shouldn't go into it with that frame of mind.
I just think that's shit. I'm not saying he's shitty. I'm saying I think that mentality sucks.
And that mentality, I'm sure, exists in the greater landscape.
Like, I would love to be able to let that go and embrace anything else that comes out and give it the opportunity. Right. Like, anyway, the bottom line is, I put out my Star Wars list, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody was like, really? Force Awakens over Return of the Jedi?
I saw somebody say...
Yeah?
I saw somebody say, 1, A New Hope, like Empire Strikes Back, 3, A New Hope that came out in 1977 or something like that. It might have been Brody.
No, it was like... No, he wrote 4 entries that were all A New Hope. He wrote Star Wars, and then A New Hope, and then Star Wars Episode 4. And the joke was it was only that one.
No, but
4 times over.
I'm talking about a different person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I put out that I like The Force Awakens more than Return of the Jedi, and I'm like, yeah. Like
The Return of the Jedi is pretty low on my list.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like,
yeah.
why do you have to be so precious about it just because it was older? It's like,
I think there's some pretty serious problems with that movie. But
I'm not look, here's another thing I'll say. This is but I do want to halt this because this is I want to do the opening to Sight and Sound Weekly and not make it a big movie discussion yet.
Right.
But I guess my point is I think everyone should just like what they like, and I get the emotion. I get liking something because you're emotionally attached to it. But at the same time, just because I like Force Awakens, it shouldn't blow anyone's minds that I think The Force Awakens can be better than any other Star Wars movie. It doesn't have to be as concrete as all of the original trilogy movies are great and all of the prequel trilogies are terrible because someone else, because that's the common belief that you've heard over and over again. I have decided I would rather, if you gave me the choice, hey, you have 3 hours, rewatch any Star Wars film, I'm probably going to pick The Force Awakens.
Yeah. Well, and it's not always just like a conversation of, oh, it's because it's new. Like, I had trouble getting through Rogue One the other day. I mean, luckily the very ending is amazing, but you know, it was just hard to watch. Like I found myself just doing other shit while I was on. But anyways, I think, and just sort of just transition out of movies in general, you know, first of all, this whole discussion is good just because we are, you know, kicking off list season and stuff. So we're talking, I was glad that you, in the Facebook group, you started, I don't know if you meant to do it on purpose, but you kicked off list season by asking people what their list of Star Wars stuff was. And it was very nice to play into the theme. But I think once people, especially in this pop culture stuff that we're doing, once you let go of that romanticism and that attachment, your eyes will just immediately open up because the conversation becomes so much more fun and interesting.
I know.
Once you can have those debates like that. And that's sort of like I've actually tried. I don't remember who it was. I was having a conversation with somebody where they were like, you know, you said you really like this album and I didn't enjoy it as much, so I'm trying to spend way more time with it and maybe I'll come around. And I just was kind of like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Just because I'm saying that it's really, really good doesn't mean that like you're not getting it. You just might not like it.
Right.
And that's totally fine. Like
Yeah.
it's all good, man.
So anyway, I want to talk about some things with the Facebook group. You met Kristen Smith.
I did.
Our buddy. And I was jealous. I didn't get to make it because I was stuck at work. But she drove through to go pick up a little.
I thought about telling her where you worked. That way she could just get off the exit in Frankfurt and try to find the one that you worked at.
I wouldn't have been mad.
I know.
I mean, it would have been inconvenient because I couldn't have hung out with her. But I mean, it would have been nice to say hey, I guess. But yeah, I wish I could have hung out with you guys for that little bit. I know that was an interesting. You have an interesting story with that as far as dealing with all the shitty traffic.
Yeah, I told it on music, but it was just that the thing that I did that was really dumb was I suggested that she meet me somewhere in Lexington that was like it's essentially a big outdoor shopping mall. And when I was stuck in traffic and it was taking much longer than I had anticipated, I thought to myself, oh yeah, it's December 1st. Which is also the start of like the holiday shopping season for a lot of people, and it was like rush hour traffic. So it was a shit show, man. I mean, it was so awful in that regard. And then I got self-conscious, like, well, she's been waiting. I mean, at one point I was like, you should just leave. Like, just
yeah,
this is taking too long.
That sucks.
It's all good though.
Well, you got to see the little doggy and y'all talk about Collider and all that.
My favorite thing that I did was before I left, and I have this want, need, and yearn for every dog that I meet. I said, hey, this might be a weird question, but before you leave, do you care if I push your dog over? And she said, sure. So I reached over and I pushed it over. I just like to see dogs fall over. It's funny to me.
What do you think about those fainting goats?
I want one.
Does that make you laugh?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I like it when they pop up on Fail Army. Animal fail armies are the best.
They're pretty good. I love videos of like cats pawing at something and they're like sitting on a coffee table and they take one step back and just fall down. And they pull like everything on the table off as they're clawing to get back. I love videos like that. I love animals trying to jump up to ledges and they just fall on the ground. Those are funny.
I like the animals failing, but I also like when the animals betray the humans, and the humans are the ones that are failing at the hands of an animal. Like when some dumb girl like tries to run up and jump on the back of like a donkey, and the donkey just like moves slightly and they face plant or something like that. I think it's hilarious.
I watched today Fail Army put out a section of
I only watched Fail Army on our shared YouTube account.
They put out a montage of ice bucket challenges, which I've seen. I saw pretty much all of them, but the one I hadn't seen, I fucking lost my mind. It was a girl sitting on top of a horse, and she had
problem number one.
And she had a cooler, dumped the cold water on herself sitting on a horse. So the horse got an ice bucket challenge. It takes the fuck off, freaking out.
Of course it does. Horse don't want that.
All of a sudden, it just stops, and she goes flying forward off the horse. It's the dumbest thing.
When we take a break, can we just watch like one Fail Army video?
Sure, we can. I would love to show you that. The most, I've probably said this before, the most pissed I get at videos like that are when you just see cars driving through buildings.
Yeah. Big fan of crash videos.
I get so... It's not even about the crash montage. It happens like inserted. It's just like there'll be a little surveillance camera in a convenience store, and all of a sudden the car comes crashing through the building. I get so fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
Or if you slowly see a semi just slowly backing in and destroying the car whose camera you're viewing from, I get so mad because I don't have an explanation as to why that motherfucker did it, and I just don't understand why someone just drives into a building. I get so mad. Anyway. I think I'm done. I'm calling it quits on the top 50 superhero poll list. I'm just going straight into the second stage as far as managing the tiers. The Movie Talk by Movie Fan Facebook group is trash.
You're over it.
That group sucks.
Yeah.
Not only, and I will take the blame. Some of it is my fault. Because, well, I don't even like taking the blame on this, because that group has so many people and it is so flooded with nothingness that my posts get buried. So even the essay or the memoir that I wrote explaining who I was and what the polls were going to be, 10 people see it out of the 17,000 people. So every time I post a poll, it's an opportunity for 100 or so people to be like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
And I have to constantly, and I started copying and pasting like a little disclaimer in every single one. You're contributing to this list, Sight and Sound, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
These people, I put out, what's the best superhero team-up movie?
Right.
And the answers are Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Justice League. Just those 3 fucking movies. And you have people that are like, where's The Incredibles? Where's Guardians of the Galaxy?
Where's Civil War?
Motherfucker, I put in the description. It's only these choices. You might have missed another poll. Be on the lookout. Follow me on Twitter.
Right.
I get it. I get that people aren't just one day they see a poll and they might not get it. I'm not saying that they're bad people, but some of them are really fucking annoying and frustrating because they clearly just aren't reading what I'm saying. So it sucks for the people that are genuinely like, this is really cool. Where else can I do this? And I have sympathy towards that, obviously. But there are some people that are driving me bonkers. And I just want to be done with that group. Because outside of that, I've been sort of surveying the group outside of my polls. And they don't do anything but just post shitty memes. And they it reminds me of how the Wangers title their episodes, where it's nothing clickbait kind of stuff.
Right.
They will write a post that's clearly inaccurate. My favorite Tom Cruise movie is Forrest Gump. and then that's the fucking post. And it's
Right.
like this big inside joke between everybody in the group. So if you're just there for 2 seconds, you just see nothing but nothing.
They're tweeting inside the group.
Well, that's part of it, but it's also just the actual content of it. And I realized that that group is garbage, and I don't care who listens to Sight and Sound that's in that group. I hate everything that I just said.
I've learned recently, and we've talked about this quite a bit, but how much I just value, and we never really talked about this. We never met about it and planned it out, but the fact that when Brad approached us about starting the Facebook group, and even before that, one thing that I always had in the back of my mind was just to sort of help usher along a specific and certain type of interaction and way of thinking for our group. Not saying that, like, I want everybody to think the same way as us, but just how we interact with people. And that's something that I think we've done a good job of in the Facebook group, of just like, if somebody has an opinion that you don't agree with, one, give them the space to have that opinion. And two, if you want to disagree with them, have a debate and let it be okay, but be respectful in the debate, and make sure you're backing up whatever. Like, don't just come at people and say, that's a stupid opinion.
Don't be a dong.
That's a shitty approach. A better way to disagree with somebody is say, I don't agree with that opinion. Here's why. Give that sort of thing. But the other thing about that, I only take part in our Facebook group in Schmoville, really. And I think you really see just how, so, if you've ever had your post deleted or something, it's not because, like, we don't like you, or just don't take that personal. It's just we're trying to monitor and cater the conversation a certain way. And I think once you step outside of that group into other groups where that's not the case, you can easily understand why we do that.
Right.
And why we have that sort of approach and opinion and take. It's because we want the experience for everybody that's coming in there to be a positive one. We interact a lot on that group. And, Christian just commented the other day on Schmoes Know, that he said that there was a time when he was just like, I don't want to go into Schmoville. I don't ever want that to be the case with Sight and Sound.
Yeah. God, there's no way in hell under my watch, I'm not going to let the Sight and Sound Facebook group become what that movie talk group is.
Right.
And I think we're doing a pretty good job with that.
Yeah. That's the other thing too, is he was like talking about like a Jedi Council thing. Like, if somebody, I hope this wouldn't be the case. The cool thing about Brad is that he approached us before starting that.
Right.
But if like somebody was just like, hey, I'm going to start a Sight and Sound Weekly, like, side group, I'd probably have nothing to do with that. In fact, I'd probably just be like, if I were you, I wouldn't do that. There's just no point doing that, but I can't stop you, so whatever. Right. But I mean, yeah.
Speaking of admins, Luke Jaggers, he's the other admin. And I picked up on something, and I want your take on this. For someone who is an admin of our page, I think he is completely out of the loop. Not only with what we've done, I don't think he's listened to Sight and Sound in weeks. Maybe one episode That's here okay. or there. But is it okay?
Yeah,
Mr. Don't Ask, Just Listen.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to not take in most of our content or a particular part of our content.
That's not what I'm. That's not really what I'm going.
I know,
for.
but if anybody were to address something that we might have already talked about, I'm going to be like, well, we talked about that, and just be okay with the fact that I'm like, well, we talked about that. I don't really feel like going into it. For the most part, I think he's fine with that. I mean, he's never gotten defensive where he's just like, well, I didn't listen, so can you please just explain it to me? We just say, well, we talked about that.
I thought it was funny because he posted about that new Robin picture for Titans, and he was like, 2 points. 1, this looks great, and 2, DC's starting a streaming service. And I was like, what? I know.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But he also quit like watching Collider, I think. So it's like, I just kind of thought it was funny.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, yeah.
I get that. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, do you think that I expect everyone to listen to those Brave the Storm podcasts?
Yeah.
No.
And I mean, there's times.
No, I get it.
There's times when we fall out of the loop on stuff. Like, you didn't know who Brad Gilmore was the other day on Rundown, and that's fine. That's totally cool. And
I've kind of fallen off SK Plus entirely, though.
yeah, listen, I don't care. I'm fascinated with who listens to what and who doesn't listen to what. I think there's a huge. I have a feeling that there is a large. I would say most of the people that listen to our music show, or my music show, don't even participate in our Facebook group. Like I know, particularly the guys from Track Show listen to my music show, and they're nowhere to be seen.
Right.
Just other people that I know that my friend Ross, not Ross Cassidy, but another Ross, who's a huge music fan that I would love to involve more in music podcast discussions because he's great, just doesn't contribute to any of this conversation stuff.
Right.
So,
the last thing I wanted to talk about, and then we can take a break if you want.
Yeah. I need another LaCroix.
I was laughing at Brando the other day because he posted, and I'm the only one that picked up on this apparently, and that's why I wanted your take on it. For one, I think everybody loves Brando, and Brando is one of those
podcast coming with Brando soon.
Brando's one of those guys that he'll be obnoxious or he'll make it a point to like lighten it up, be funny, and
he drops great hot takes.
Yeah, he's oftentimes an outsider looking in, and you don't always take those people lightly, I guess. Like I think they're important. He could easily be a nuisance. He could easily be annoying, and he never ever is. I think everyone thinks he's funny all the time, and it's great. And I love Brando's presence on the page.
Because that's his personality. Outside
he's
of that.
always been like that.
Yeah.
So first point is I love that he's like that, and he definitely gets away with it. The second thing is that his post that I laughed so hard at, and again, I think I'm the only one who picked up on this. The first sentence, and I'm paraphrasing, was, I just don't like any superhero TV shows, parentheses, with the exception of Stranger Things on Netflix. And I laughed my ass off like, oh, that's hilarious, Brando. And I went through the comments and commented and said, I'm just commenting here. I've only read the first sentence, and my response is LMAO. And he didn't know what I was talking about.
Right.
And I went through all of the comments, and nobody addressed that first sentence. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, Stranger Things is not a superhero show, so what the fuck are you talking about? And as I kept thinking about it, I'm like, is he talking about 11? Is he talking about the fact that she has powers? Is Stranger Things a superhero TV show? Because my gut instinct, I thought he was joking, but no one else picked up on that.
Well, that's like with the Collider superhero list that they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, Schnepp will, like, for instance, they did V for Vendetta, and he was just like, this is not a superhero movie. But obviously, a lot of people consider it a superhero movie and this and that. But
did you take that as a joke, or did you know exactly what he was talking about?
Well, it was just like such a small factor in the rest of the stuff. And the other story that I took away from that entire post, which I found fascinating, for whatever reason, for some strange reason in that post, we've made no qualms about this, the fact that a large chunk of the people in that group are from Schmoville and are already a part of this sort of collective, at least movie and television conversation that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when Brando posted that, the people that aren't in that space came out of the woodwork. Like Patrick came in there and like a few other people. And they were the first people to comment on it, because I was like, man, he's going to get blown up for this. Because I get blown up for because I don't like the Marvel shows. And people were like, yeah, I don't like him either.
Right.
And I was like, man, this is like, that was sort of the conversation for a little bit. And a few people kind of came in and was like, well, but I just thought it was fascinating to see that interaction. Finally, I love that.
Yeah. Where the fuck is Eric and all this shit?
Yeah.
Where's Josh? Where's Goodman?
Josh likes some really funny posts. Hey, Mama, I'm in.
We in this. Let's go.
I do love Brando, and I just mentioned it, but we've been okay. So I haven't really talked about this at all. A while ago, I posted the first Some Life song, and Brando was like, well, we want to hear about this. We want to hear, about how you made it and this and that. And I was just like, I'm not interested in doing that myself. And then I challenged him. I was like, if you want to know about it, do a podcast with me. And you asked me the questions. Well, he answered that call. He had me literally go track by track in my DAW, my digital audio workstation, aka GarageBand, and
what?
That's what programs like that and
okay,
the thing that you use are called. And I took out every snare hit, every hi hat, every synth, all that, and sent it to him. He wants to do it like Song Exploder and basically isolate each and individual moment.
What a weirdo.
He's done all of that, and now he's prepared to do the podcast. He sent me a list of whole structure and everything for the podcast. And we've been trying to set up and just nail down a time, and things have gotten a little bit janky just with scheduling. He was like, man, we just can't seem to do this. And I said, welcome to the world of podcasting over the internet, especially. And but that's coming soon. And I don't know if he knows this or not. First of all, one, I have no intention of talking for an entire podcast about my music. It's just not going to happen because Brando and I have a insane story. I don't know if you know it or you're privy to our story, but our story and the fact that he is even in this podcast group right now is one of the weirdest and most bizarre, crazy circumstances that's ever taken place.
I do want to hear about it, and I'm sure that I'll hear about it on the show, but I'm going to tell you, just do it.
Just do what?
You just
said
I'm you don't plan
it.
on. I think this will be great. I think you need to get over that if you're freaking out about.
No. I'm going to. I'm going to do the podcast. I'm going to let him host it and do all that stuff, and he can ask me whatever question, and I'll answer whatever question. That's not necessarily what I mean, but because I come from a podcasting background. Like for instance, I know some of the questions he's going to ask me. If he asks me what the song is about, I would love to just talk to him about what my philosophy on writing lyrics are. I'm much more interested in doing that and just saying the song is about this. Like I would much rather tell him, this song to me is about this, but here's how I think lyrics in general should be interpreted for music. Like, I
guess my only other question is, where the fuck is my podcast like this?
Well, here's the beauty of this.
Brando, what the hell? I put out all that Brave the Storm shit. And I didn't get a call?
Here's what's funny about that. Listen, the way he structured it, I have no doubt in my mind that this would go off without a hitch and it would be very good. And I would love to be like, I would love to have the power and the ability to be like, Brando, congratulations. Your show's been picked up on Sight and Sound. Unfortunately, like I have the luxury of writing every single note of this music, being able to send him those tracks, being able to talk about every element on my own. I think, if somebody hears this and is like, oh, I'd love to hear more of this. Well, you would only be able to hear it from me and Carl. And then you would have to hope and pray to God that Josh would have enough time to be able to break down all those tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then after that, unless we miraculously get some sort of great relationship with like Balance and Composure or like Kanye West, you're just not going to hear it, stuff like that.
Two things.
Yeah.
One, this just made me realize that if and when, when we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
if it's going to stop at like 980 and just won't go up ever.
Yeah. Or if we die.
Why are you dressed like a you have
Jedi Knight?
No, I was gonna say you have your hood up like a person and what's it called? The opposite of the Order of the Phoenix? The people that
the opposite of the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah. Who are the bad people called? What were they called? Voldemort's crew?
Oh, Death Eaters?
Yeah.
They don't have hoods.
Don't they wear hoods sometimes and masks?
Two things. If we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I think that's when we finally, like, you know how we did the 500 sub Q&A?
Yeah.
I think for 1,000 subscribers, we should finally do our one-on-one interview podcast
Okay.
where I interview you about your life and then vice versa.
Yeah.
And it'll be like 2 separate episodes. That should be what we do.
You mean the
Don't Be a Beardo, but for ourselves.
The creative control that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can do that. I think that's what we should do for the 1,000 subs. And then
we should launch our Patreon.
We are. We're finally going to do this. How many times have I said, let's launch our Patreon? And you're like, yeah, we just got to figure some stuff out.
And we do. And we've been together for like the last few hours and done none of that.
The second thing is that I have an idea for something I'm going to do on Sight and Sound Movies.
Good. Is it copying my titles?
It is not. It is a 2-parter. The first part is I'm going to heavily criticize and only talk shit about the Star Wars original trilogy.
Yeah.
And then the second episode is I'm going to praise and glorify the prequel trilogy.
There you go.
And it's going to be Bizarro World. And I'm going to say everything that I dislike about the original trilogy, and that's it. And then everything that I like about the prequel trilogy. And that will be 2 episodes of Sight and Sound Movies. Coming soon. How come every time we podcast together, it's so you're lucky that I have no life. Because it's so elongated. Let's get together 7 o'clock and record weekly. It's what? Like
midnight.
12? Yeah, I was going to say, it's already midnight. Every time I come over here, it's like time is...
yeah.
Would it be stretched? Or I don't know. We're running long. Let's take a break and then we can...
I do have... I just want to tell you about a new series that I'm going to be launching on YouTube next year. It's called...
Trailer Takeaways?
Reasons People Hate. And then it's just like me talking about different artists. Like I have a list here. Reasons people hate Drake. And then just 5 reasons. Reasons people hate Beyonce. And it's not reasons I hate them. It's just reasons why somebody would hate this person, and then I, give a rebuttal on this.
I have, I'm glad you brought that up because I have an idea for a video series on YouTube.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to talk about why people in the film fandom community hate certain things about movies and directors and things like that. So it's not what I hate about directors and movies.
You're just taking my idea.
It's what other people, it's why people don't like J.J. Abrams because of lens flares or whatever. So that's something I was going to introduce in 2018.
Yeah.
And so
I have no problem with what you're doing. In fact, it makes me happy because I just like I like that you're coming up with new stuff. I filled Kristen in on this as well. I told her, Ryan's got this plan for a bunch of new movie shows. And I think they're going to be great episodes. And she was like, and I explained to her, and she said, yeah, I think that's a good idea if he does that. I'd like to see more movie shows on Sight and Sound. And then I pushed over her corgi.
Oh man. Did you listen to Hot Takes and Sausage?
I listened to 5 minutes of it. maybe 10 minutes of it.
Okay, go to break.
Wait, no, I need to explain this. I listened to 10 minutes of it, and none of it was like about movies at all.
Exactly. It was Hot Takes and Sausage.
Which is fine. When's the last music episode you've listened to?
The one with you and RB3.
Yeah, see, the music show every week, I don't even talk about music until like 15 or 20 minutes.
I've noticed that. That's
it's keeping with the pace of planes. It's keeping with the pace of
conditions.
Yeah, it's keeping with the pace of
that was part of my point when I don't remember who it was. I think Brando made it a point because like I posted something that like didn't get to the point entirely, and I was like, "Have you listened to Jay's music show? It's 40 minutes about what he had at lunch." It's like that's an exaggeration, but
yeah,
I was like, "That's Sight and Sound." It's like, why is this the point in time where you're like, get to the point?
The funny thing was when he said, "Yeah, but Jay's like a saint. He's fine."
That's unacceptable.
Yeah, I get it.
We did nothing for 50 minutes. Let's go to break.
All right, we'll be right back.
That was a long ass intro.
We love cramming your ear holes with Sight and Sound goodness, but now we want to be all over your body. Wait, before you file a police report, we want you to wear our t-shirts. Head on over to sightsoundpod.com and pick up your Sight and Sound gear today. Every month we are releasing exclusive and limited designs, so if you see something you really want, make sure to pick it up before it goes away forever. Oh yeah, and the best part? Every time you buy a Sight and Sound shirt, you can go to bed at night feeling like a better person because you are doing your part to not only support this show, but make it better in the future. We have a ton of ideas to make Sight and Sound better for you, like doing a video version of Sight and Sound Weekly. Every time you buy a t-shirt, you are supporting us and helping make that dream a reality. Again, head on over to sightsoundpod.com and pick up your Sight and Sound gear today.
First thing I want to say,
we apologize for the intro.
Yeah,
but we love that. That's our favorite part. Then we just stop listening.
But now I feel pressure to rush everything else.
No, I'm good.
Now
Kayla's good.
Now
she's just reading a book.
We've been together 6 hours. 6 hours it took to record weekly.
I'm fine, but if you're not,
I'm just joking. It doesn't really matter.
Let me just say before we get started here, how did we miss this show?
Manhunt?
Yeah.
With Vision?
Yeah. Kayla watched it and said it was amazing, and then I actually watched a couple episodes with her, and I was like, this show is great.
We missed it because we don't watch fucking Discovery Channel, so we're not going to see the...
It's on Hulu, though, now.
Okay. Well, there you go. Do you watch Hulu, Jay?
Sometimes.
I don't watch Hulu aside from Shark Tank, really.
I watched Creed the other day.
On Hulu?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
It's on Hulu.
I thought you might have bought it. I figured that would have been a purchased
I don't
film.
I don't buy movies.
It's not true at all. You bought Ant-Man for no reason.
Well, I bought it because I wanted to watch it, and it wasn't available for rent, and I wanted to watch it right then and there.
Oh, it wasn't available to rent. That's weird.
Can I adjust what we're about to do here? Instead of just going through, we're gonna go through this list that we found on the internet of like some of the best shows of the year. Not our list, but we were going to do the forgettable ones. Can we go through some of the things on this list and give our takes, and then when we get to one that we deem forgettable,
sure.
Okay, cool. It's list season, guys, and we figured that we should kick off list season Sight and Sound Weekly with some takes.
And what else were we gonna do? Watch Future Man?
I don't think that looks good.
I might get around to it.
Okay.
I'll support Kentucky's own Josh Hutcherson.
He's in The Disaster Artist, which we could have been previewing tonight.
Yeah. How do you preview that? We'll talk about it in movies. It'll get brought up.
I can
in movies.
podcast about anything.
That's true. Anyway, we're going.
What do you think,
list.
Goodman? Sorry.
Where's the list? What is this here? It's not
so
Vulture.
We're on Thrillist. I've never heard of this website.
That sounds like a name that I would come up with.
Yeah, it does.
I would love to start a blog called Thrillist. That's really, really cool.
It's called Thrillist. Maybe we should reach out to them, see if they need podcast content.
That's a part of my go Google website traffic.
We could do this later.
see what the hits are.
Hey guys, if you're just paying attention to what we just said and you have a podcast or a brand or something and you haven't thought about what I'm not going to go over it again, but all you motherfuckers just missed out on one of the most simple ideas ever. And what essentially, it didn't launch Sight and Sound into anything, but it had a hand in some conversations that we've had, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go back, think about it.
We're on Thrillist. What's the headline here? The best TV shows of 2017 so far. What's the date on this?
11/10/2017.
What a weird.
This isn't music. Like Kanye's not just gonna drop a TV show.
What a
next
weird
week.
Headline. I mean, what other shows are left? We'll finish up Robot, and that's
Robot's
it.
not on here, so I know that.
I know, but
that's the only
TV is done for 2017.
I know. First of all,
someone right now is like, Dark or whatever that show's called. Dark just came out on Netflix, Snelling. We'll watch it.
While we're just on this topic right here, and while we're just on list season, I was joking and giving Luke some shit for last year when he was like, "It's July. Here's my album of the year list," or whatever he did.
He's doing it again.
No, he's not.
I thought he just sent you a copy.
He might, and that's fine. If that's what he's going to do, that's fine. that's Luke, and he's a fan and all that stuff. Not a fan, but a friend of the show, and just in general. However, there is certain people who do not have a pass. Rolling Stone magazine just said, we're good with December. They put theirs out in November. Rolling Stone.
That's weird.
They put it like, okay, listen, if they didn't want to take into consideration this Glass album, that's completely fine. But Miguel just put his album out on December 1st, and he's a huge artist.
By the way, talk about Dan Le Batard. I've often compared you to Mike Ryan. You and Mike Ryan are literally the same. I woke up.
Did you have a glass jaw take?
I woke up and looked through my Instagram stories, and you two were side by side, and you had the exact same post about Miguel. It was literally identical. I thought I looked at the same thing twice, but it went from Jay to Mike Ryan.
Did he have the lit emoji thing on it?
Yes.
Was it in white or was it in orange?
I don't remember that.
Because you can have both options. Hey, guys, real quick side rant. We're off. We're off, or not Instagram. We're off Snapchat.
We're done with
I just saw John Roca post his Snapchat code, and I'm like, dude, come on.
The company Snap, they're like their last quarterly earnings were hugely disappointing. They cannot keep up with Instagram. But the fact that I've just taken to Instagram more so. I'm already there.
You're right. We're already there. I don't utilize. So difficult to build a following on Snapchat.
Yeah, it's always just your close friends. I don't know how to reach beyond that. I also don't feel the need to because, and also I don't.
Was this a Gary V conversation?
I don't utilize any of the news that's on there.
We should see if Gary V needs an after show to cover all of his content.
I would feel like I was redundant, and I'm the guy who talks about the same old shit with Collider and Schmoes. If I was talking about Gary V, it would be redundant.
Right.
What the fuck would that show be?
We could review his sneakers. Or his K-Swiss deal. I can podcast about anything.
We have gone so far off track. I don't even know where I was going to go. Let's do this. Thrillist.
The best TV shows of 2017.
Let's just go through this list. On the podcast, we'll call it Forgettable TV, but we'll just have a more broad conversation. All right.
You were crashing?
I watched that first episode. It did not offer anything to stand up on television, and it didn't offer anything in terms of a sitcom. It was just that classic forgetting. Well, it's pretty much any comedy. I feel like starts off with a guy walking in on his wife or girlfriend having sex with someone else. That is one of the most played things ever. Yeah, and that's all this show was.
We're kind of going through. Some of the topics that we've just discussed as well, and on Sight and Sound Weekly over this year with television. And I remember this is just an example, one of those shows where I watched one episode and was like, not for me.
Actually, that's not fair. I said that's all it was. That's all the first episode was. Apparently, people liked the rest of the season, but I wasn't even a fan of his anyway. I didn't. Pete Holmes. I don't listen to his podcast. I didn't think he was particularly funny when he had his TBS show. So whatever.
It would have been a show where I was just constantly looking for what guest star was coming on next. Let's talk about Feud, Betty and Joan.
People love this show, and I don't know anything about these people. And I know I remember following Makuga, and everyone on TV Talk was fascinated because I guess they had more context for those. I say characters, but they're based on actual people. I don't know who the fuck those people are. I'm not saying it's not a good show. I didn't know. I didn't know that I was supposed to be paying attention to it.
Ryan Murphy following up off of his much praised OJ.
That was my favorite show of that year. So I'm not saying I have every reason to watch it.
You excited for Versace?
That's just why I haven't. Not particularly.
I am
for the same reason here. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but couldn't you go into it just not knowing anything about it and trying to enjoy it?
No, I'm not arguing why I'm not watching the show, or I'm arguing why I wasn't hyped.
Right,
but I'm not making an argument. I will never watch the show. That's not what I'm doing.
I think you're speaking to something important, and I agree with it a little bit too. the TV landscape is so big and broad, and there's so much quality out there that, especially for something on FX, which I have to purchase. You know what I'm saying? I have to purchase on iTunes. I need the buzz. I need the buzz in order to sell
heat
me
meter.
on it. Yeah, exactly. The heat meter's got to be high. And I'm not saying it wasn't for the show.
Yeah,
but
it definitely was. But the same thing for People vs. OJ, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, I didn't have conscious life when that happened, so I don't remember when that happened, and I was late on that show. I'm sure you do. You're older than me. I was late on People vs. OJ. I crammed it in right before the end of the year when I think it was out over the summer. So, I mean, I was late on that too. I'll get around to it.
Legion. This was a show that kicked off our illustrious podcasting careers here.
We became professional podcasters because of Legion.
Yeah, and it was funny because on our robot podcast, to hear RB3 talk about that show.
Yeah,
I was wondering to myself, does he know that we did something for that?
I'm sure he does.
You know, it's interesting to think back about this show just because of how great the year was, and we'll talk about it when we do our pop culture crown stuff. But man, Legion was so early in the year that it's hard for me to remember just how much I appreciated it. But I remember just being absolutely blown away by the show. So
for anybody who probably heard us talk about Legion a ton this year, but never got around to actually watching it, I just read that it's about to be on Hulu. Starting this month. I don't remember the exact date, but be on the lookout for Legion on Hulu, and you can catch up right before the second season.
Yeah, and it's sort of interesting too, because one of the most I was meant to bring this up at the top of the show, but we went 40 minutes talking about nothing. The one of the most exciting things about year two in Sight and Sound isn't just so much of the new things that we're trying to incorporate. And I told Kristen this. I said one of the things that at least I want to do, and I don't know about you, I want to incorporate more people coming onto the show. Especially we just did that RB3 thing. It was a lot of fun.
It was. I think he enjoyed it too.
Absolutely. And one of the most exciting things is the fact that so much of the first year of Sight and Sound was done without the audience that we have now and the type of interaction that we have now. So for instance, when we were just absolutely, and it's right, like people had no context to what my album of the year list was last year. But when we were absolutely shitting on Westworld, think about how much fun we would have with all these people today. Because Westworld season 2, I'll watch every single episode, and if it's as terrible as it is, I will keep you up. In fact, I would be down to do like a YouTube or podcast, like weekly recap of it, just to keep up with that.
And the headline will be "Westworld sucks."
To hate watch
episode 2.
Yeah, to hate watch it.
Season 2.
No, in all seriousness, I'm open to it. But all of that stuff that people might have missed out on, and the Legion stuff. I mean, think about how fun it would be to incorporate the Facebook group into
Kevin
our
Marks was regularly referenced on Legion. Yeah. He actually helped the show quite a bit.
Our relationship with Kevin was born there on Let's Talk Legion. Master of None for me was a pleasant surprise, something that I just didn't care about. And you actually forced me to watch it to talk about on Sight and Sound Weekly, and then I ended up convincing you to watch the show. Would you consider this a forgettable show for you?
100% not.
Yeah.
This season might be top 5.
Okay.
For me. This show.
I haven't even thought about my TV list, and that's just because I've been so into music, but
this season was beautifully done.
Yeah.
So clever. It didn't need to be laugh out loud funny. It was.
That's what made it so interesting.
But it didn't have to be. And it didn't worry about it either. It didn't feel obligated to be funny. This was one of the best. It ends up being one of the best love stories I have ever seen, period.
Better than Ross and Rachel?
Ross and Rachel's relationship is garbage.
Yeah.
It's famous.
I know, I'm joking.
But their relationship is horrible.
Better than Jack and Kate? Also another horrible love story.
This emotionally broke me, this love story. I was in love with this couple, and Aziz Ansari crushed everyone involved, crushed this show. And there were even some standout episodes, like when he explores his best friend's coming out as gay and going through her entire life. How she deals with her home environment and being the person that she is. And
won Emmys that episode.
It's so beautifully done. That entire season is fantastic. And if anyone skip season 1, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna use.
I don't think I watched it.
Season 1?
Yeah,
it's good.
I think I watched
a
few episodes. Yeah.
But you don't need to have seen season 1.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just go. I loved the first season so much. Maybe I should go back and watch the first. Maybe I should go back and watch the first season.
It's just so. It's gorgeous, that show, and so great. Loved it.
Fargo, didn't watch it, even though our boy Noah Hawley did it. I've never really been that into the show. I actually haven't even watched the first episode ever, so I might just dive into it one day if I'm bored. But your thoughts on? I know you watched the entire thing.
No,
you didn't watch.
I told you like an hour ago that I didn't.
Did you watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes probably.
Had our girl Carrie Coon in it, did it not?
Yes, she's great. I have a weird relationship with the show Fargo. Season 1 is great. So good. And season 2, I watched the first episode, and I hear it's great. Some people flip-flop back and forth between if they think it's a better season than the first one. But I never got past that, and not for any particular reason. You know how things get away from you sometimes. So I need to catch up on season 2. But I did go into season 3 expecting to finish it, and I just legitimately had no interest in it. I love all the people that are in it. Ewan McGregor, Carrie Coon, and oh God, what's her name from 10 Cloverfield Lane? Oh
yeah,
God.
that girl.
Oh no, I love her too. She's so good, such a great actress. Can't think of her name right now. 10 Cloverfield Lane, Miles Teller's sister in Spectacular Now. She's great in it, and so yeah, I wasn't interested in it at all, and I thought it was the least interesting of the Fargo that I had seen.
Big Little Lies, probably one of, if I had one word to sort of characterize this year of TV, and I would use it for music too, just very different, I would say full of surprises, things that I just never saw coming, and Big Little Lies is something that really does encapsulate that. We've talked, every time we've talked about the show, I feel like we say the same thing. This was never, ever, ever supposed to appeal to us.
I'm afraid that all of our discussion here is
going to go back over into the top.
So maybe we should go back to Forgettable TV.
That's fine. I just want to touch on a few things. We both watched an episode of Sneaky Pete, not for us. I heard a lot of people talk about Top of the Lake China Girl.
Never heard of it.
Mainly on the watch, so take from that what you will. Did you watch any Americans?
Not this year. No, I'm only in the middle of season 2, but I do like the Americans a lot. So I'll probably wait till it's all over and I'll binge all of it.
Yeah. So this is where things are going to get interesting, because I'm now going to crown, for me, my most forgettable show.
Is it? Okay. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but we talked about this before. Are you sure forgettable is the proper term for this?
For me.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Because I know your opinion on it. I wanted to make sure that it was also forgettable.
Yeah. I think Ozark is a good show. I think it's very well executed. But I do not give a shit about this show. I just don't care about it. I didn't think anything was particularly interesting about it. I mean, the conflict, everybody and their mother has made the draw and comparison between this and Breaking Bad, and it's just it's different enough, I guess, but I just didn't care about this show. That's really it. I mean, I don't even really have anything.
But okay, so is that forgettable? That's why I wasn't sure if forgettable is the right word for you.
Well, I mean, forgettable is something, I watched it and I
feel like it's underwhelming.
I got through it. Yeah.
Overrated, but
yeah, but I mean, it's a show that I watched. I don't care about it.
But did you forget it existed?
Yeah, kind of. I forgot that it was something that I should try to consider for my list. Okay. I mean, I've got another one that I could crown too.
I think part of what goes in.
Did you watch Ozark?
I watched the first couple episodes.
Okay.
It's our highest earning video on YouTube.
I know.
For no reason. And I tried to replicate that for The Punisher, and it didn't work out. And Atypical didn't work out. and Glow did better.
Atypical, not on this list, by the way.
It's true. The thing
or 13 Reasons Why. Sorry, go ahead.
The thing about what I wanted to do with this conversation, I think what makes the most forgettable TV show is maybe the show that you were actually anticipating, actually had an interest in, watched it, and then as the year gone on, and maybe it's more fair to consider shows that only happen like the first 4 months of the year.
Yeah.
Because then that's when you know if you've forgotten about it or not. But that's why I wasn't sure if this kind of fell into it. But then again, you might be able to challenge my choices as well.
The next one that we're gonna get to for me probably falls more under your criteria, even more so. So
okay,
we'll move on here, which is that one.
Glow,
and that's the show Glow.
By the way, let me before people get mad. We're talking about forgettable. We're not necessarily saying the show is bad.
About quality, yeah.
Just
I like watching Ozark. I like watching Glow. I had a great time watching it. I just when I was thinking like, oh, these are the shows that are definitely going to be on my list, Glow just never even crossed my mind. It was just like
really,
it's something that I wouldn't consider in a million. Honestly. And I still stand by this. I have a hard time picturing a list where Punisher is even on it, even though I really, really enjoyed that show. But Glow, I literally forgot it even existed.
Okay.
Like sometimes if somebody were to like whisper the word Glow, like maybe 15 yards away.
What?
It wouldn't even register that was a TV show.
What is that? What is that? The 15 yards away. What factor is that?
I'm just saying. Like, if I said Lost anywhere, like if I just went, an image of the show would pop in your head. But if somebody just said or wrote down the word Glow, nothing about the show would register for me at all.
I really like the show. I don't agree that it's forgettable, but I agree that it's more forgettable than Ozark for you because I don't think you've mentioned this show ever.
Yeah. It also just doesn't really resonate. Like that's the other thing too. Some of these shows.
Are you gonna welcome a season 2? Like, are you excited for the second season?
Yeah. Again, it's nothing to do with the interest level or anything.
It's just gonna get buried.
But
when you consider
so much, so much of television today. Like really does resonate in pop culture. And I mean, I think you could probably say the same thing for Atypical. Like I really, really enjoyed Atypical a lot. But there's no buzz about it. I was
going to say, I think Atypical, you could consider a forgettable show. Because even when I watched the show, I remember thinking, I can't remember his name. It's like Kiersey or whatever that actor's name is that plays the lead character.
Why would you even try to remember a name like that?
I don't know. I remember praising his performance and calling it one of the breakout performances that I've seen on TV this year. And I still agree with it, but I've forgotten it. I mean, over time, I have forgotten how good it was. And I think Atypical you could consider a forgettable show, but it's also kind of relatively recent, and so is Glow. So
well, that's the other thing about Glow too is that when I say that thing about it not having buzz, when it came out, it had a lot of buzz.
August, something like that.
It had a lot of buzz. There was a lot of people like talking about pro wrestling and whatnot when it came out. But since it's come and gone, especially when it's sort of eclipsed by something like Stranger Things, it's just kind of like. Oh, yeah, there's that show. That's the thing. There was that show, Glow. Do you care about pro wrestling now? No, not really.
I think Glow might make my top 5 Netflix series of the year. Not TV series. Netflix series.
Is that something you're considering?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, I watched enough Netflix this year that I could do it. So
interesting. Moving on, going down this list here.
I think this qualifies because this was very early in the year.
It was like one of the things we were gonna like launch this year talking about because of how promising it looked. I will say one thing about Young Pope. It had one of my favorite like sequences of
kangaroo?
the year. Yeah, the kangaroo, just the camera panning over to the kangaroo peering through. It sounds like something that I would want to shoot just as like a joke and something.
The show was interesting. But I don't think
the tone of this show is so bizarre.
It's weird. I think it's well acted. I think it looks good.
Beautiful.
It's just one of those shows. Like, I lost interest in it, and I don't think it ever became what anyone thought it was going to be,
right?
Or maybe what we thought it was going to be, and we just realized we don't really need this, but it can go do its own thing. And
I thought it was going to be almost some,
how far did you get?
Don't flinch. I got like probably 4 episodes in. Don't flinch when I say this, but I thought it was going to be like a House of Cards and
Why would I flinch? That's what I wanted.
Well, just because Kevin Spacey. But this has more to do with like a Wes Anderson film to me than it's closer to Rushmore than it is House of Cards.
I don't know. Like, whatever. I think this is a good example of Forgettable. It happened so early, and so many other shows have come out that have asked for my attention that I don't even feel the need to rewatch this. Whereas, like, I might go back and finish Fargo. I might go back and finish Ozark, but it's like, I'm fine with not.
That was one thing that I sort of take into consideration too when talking about this. Like with albums, I have a playlist of things that I'll just dump things. I'm just like, okay, this is really good. I need to spend more time with this. And then I'll go through that. I'm like, oh shit, I completely forgot about this. I need to spend time with it. Looking at this now, nothing really. I don't know. I don't really need to. I need to go check out the kangaroo in the bushes. I did not watch Insecure, but I've heard
I've heard good things.
Fantastic show. American Gods is a show that I started, and everybody was heaping praise on. And guess what? Everybody that really loved this show in the TV and movie community, nobody else watched this show. Nobody else watched this.
Their own showrunners left.
Yeah.
The people who created the show just left like last week. American Gods suffers from what Twin Peaks suffered from for me, which was that, like, I might have been interested, but didn't. I had somewhat of an interest of starting the show, maybe for different reasons, but once I heard and witnessed from the first episode that it just wasn't. I think it was actually you who was like, the first episode's nothing.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care at all about watching it. And American Gods and Twin Peaks, I think, are the two shows that people in our Facebook group are most bothered that we don't care for. That and Westworld. I hear a lot of people like Rasika, they hate that we don't like these shows.
Yeah, well, I think Twin Peaks has just got a little bit more of that like fan factor to it. People really, really enjoy that show, which I get it. I get why people have the attachment to that show. But this one in particular, I didn't watch enough of it to say the show was necessarily bad or anything like that. I think the thing that this show suffers from is that every network is looking for the Game of Thronesification of their network and trying to hitch their wagon on this next big property for people to bite on. And I think sometimes they jump in a little too fast, too soon. We forget sometimes that Game of Thrones took its time getting off the ground.
Has been around 7 years. Yeah, and people are just now deciding, let's have our own Game of Thrones.
That it had to build up its popularity to get into a battle of the bastards. That they were just talking about battles and never showing them, and talking about dragons. And
season 1, when you see Rob's like rebellion, there were no battles in season 1.
Yeah, and it's but yet they're just like, let's throw a lot of money into this American God show, and when nobody watches it, they think, well, this isn't worth it. Well, you know what I'm saying? You tried to go battle of the bastards off the get.
I think it's interesting because I never ever consider stars when it comes to watching television. Like, that's not. I had it because I thought I wanted it, but I never even used it when I had it, and so it's like part of me wonders, like, how are these places going to compete? Maybe more people watch Stars or Cinemax more than I think. But I remember on TV Talk hearing Makuga talk about all these shows that are on Stars and Cinemax, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
And now TV Talk's canceled. So there you go.
What was that?
It's a dig.
A random shot at TV Talk. That's not what I was doing there.
So the other thing that's reminding me about Stars is how Showtime had a couple shows that I think like pulled people in. What's that stand-up comedy show? I'm Dying Up Here. It's another forgettable one, I feel like. Even though I've never seen 1 second of it, but I forget that it even exists.
Because renewed for a second season. That's good.
That show in Twin Peaks, I feel like got people to check out Showtime that don't normally do it. So my buddy Michael Gilkison was like, yeah, I went there to check out I'm Dying Up Here because it has to do with stand-up. But you know what I left really, really enjoying? I said, what's that? He said, I love Ray Donovan. And I was just
That's hilarious.
Really? He's like, yeah, it's a great show. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Just random plug for Liev Schreiber. Going down through here, your beloved
okay, we're not that's not
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's not forgettable shows.
Yeah,
we're just running through the list.
Billions, of course. Dear White People, the show that I caught a couple episodes of, and I thought was a really interesting show.
Totally planned on watching it. Never watched it.
Yeah, it's
a
interesting show from the couple of episodes that I caught. It was some really good commentary. Just haven't had the time to go back and watch it yet. Star Trek Discovery, don't care. Taboo is a show that I was supposed to have watched for Sight and Sound, and I've still yet to see a second of it. Because the trailer turned me off.
I watched 3 episodes and I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah.
And whatever. I don't think it's bad. I don't think anybody ever said it was bad. I think people enjoyed that show, but it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, American Vandal is a show that I found myself locked into once I really got into it, but it's just not something that I'm even going to remotely consider.
A lot of people loved the show. It's got a second season coming.
I enjoyed it.
I get it. I was tired of it.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes in. Just like the concept of it.
Yeah.
And the approach to it. I just was over it.
The joke got old.
And I told you, I was like, my criticism was this has no business being anything but an SNL digital short.
Yeah.
And somehow I find it exhausting even thinking about that it's an entire season of a show. And I don't know how to criticize it because I haven't watched it, but that's just my interpretation of it. I was just already over it, having seen a few minutes of the show, and I don't think anybody else thinks that, but that's just my take.
Yeah, it has trouble getting out of its own way, I think, and just exploring any idea outside of just what it's trying to be.
And again, that was my thoughts on the season 1. To even imagine a second season of that same thing.
Well, I think I think they're going to do like a different take.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Silicon Valley is a show that's very beloved by people because you can laugh at it. And that's essentially all I give a shit about the show is that I can get a few chuckles. The show is still not good. The story is still not good. And talk about forgettable. Sometimes I forget this even exists until I see previews of it before another one of my beloved HBO shows. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch that.
I think that this is a forgettable show, not just in 2017, but in general.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is it's probably one of the
most watched,
highest rated, highly regarded comedies on television. Up there with like Modern Family and Big Bang Theory. Like Silicon Valley is up there. It's the biggest show in general that I just never, ever think about.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You know what's funny about the show is I think it's easily one of Mike Judge's worst properties. He's like, listen, I watch it and I do laugh at it and I like laughing at the show, but I have no problem saying that it's just not interesting.
Right.
Like other than just the jokes can be funny, but the storyline just don't care.
Empty calories.
Yeah, very empty calories. Definitely one of the least impressive Mike Judge projects he's ever done or put out. IMO. What's your thoughts on Mindhunter?
Haven't finished it.
Mindhunter is so good.
We're not doing a forgettable TV conversation. We're just reading the list.
I don't give a shit what you want to do. Listen, Mindhunter is I just want to talk about stuff that I'm clearly not going to cover on my top.
You don't think Mindhunter could be in your top?
I'm not going to finish watching it before we do our list.
For some reason, I thought you were farther along than
I am. I'm pretty far along. I think I only have like 2 episodes, but I'm not going to go out of my way to finish it because it's just not going to end up on my list.
Okay.
I mean, I might finish it in general, but for it to have come out as soon as it has, it just showed that I kind of forget about even considering. But it just might be down to the quality of it. You don't have any other take on Mindhunter other than that? Are you ever going to finish
I don't
it?
agree at all with what you said, but
Are you ever going to finish it?
yeah, definitely.
Are you going to finish it before we do our list?
Yeah.
Interesting. You have more time on your hands than I do, apparently.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's also renewed for season 2, so I'll be ready for that next year as well, or whenever it comes out.
Better Call Saul.
Forgettable.
Love me some Breaking Bad. I actually enjoyed the first 2 seasons. Just had no desire to
It's
go
forgettable
back on
when you consider the fact that it's a spinoff from the most popular, most famous show of all time, and yet I never watch it live. I can wait until it's out on Netflix, and even then, I'm like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, I think that's sort of another definition too. Is just like I didn't know when the show was even coming on. I didn't even know when it wrapped up.
Right.
Nobody in my circles were talking about the show. Have this happen, but yet it still gets picked up for awards, and
I mean, it's well done. It's well made.
That's true.
And you still have great acting, beloved characters, and I don't think there's anything bad about it per se, other than it's like it's prestige drama, but about a lawyer doing lawyer stuff. It's like I can't think of a less interesting spinoff than let's pull the lawyer from Breaking Bad, and it's just
especially the fact that it's a prequel, so we know the stakes of the big names that we.
So concept alone, it's like I don't find, but maybe that's unfair because maybe you could say the same thing about the log line of Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad was also lightning in a bottle,
right?
So I don't hear a lot of people go nuts about Better Call Saul. Like I'm not saying people love it, but I don't hear people freak out about it either.
Yeah, that's a good point. You never really see Twitter going to buzz for like last night's Breaking Bad show.
But I mean, to be fair, I think it's the best thing going for AMC right now.
Yeah. What happened to AMC? They kind of fell off, haven't they?
Yeah.
Real bad.
Yeah.
You got anything else not on this list you wanted to bring up?
Well, yeah, the one series that I had that I brought to the episode wasn't on this list, which is pretty funny. Maybe that makes it that much more forgettable. It's The Defenders. And I think that's textbook sort of what I said when you consider the anticipation and what the show was supposed to like. This was supposed to be event television. This was the Avengers on Netflix. We had spent years with these characters building up to this moment in the same way that we now anticipate something like the Avengers every time it rolls around at the end of a phase of Marvel films. It was supposed to be that. The first time you see all of these characters together, a great baddie and Sigourney Weaver, it was supposed to be all of these things. And it just, I hear the sound of a whoopee cushion in my mind going, and, okay, I don't even need to debate how good it was and what was bad about it. It's just the fact that it was so underwhelming, and I just completely forget that it happened, even though it was supposed to be. Like, it's nuts that The Punisher, in my opinion, overshadows The Defenders in the way that it does. Like, it's inexcusable.
It didn't feel like anything special when you watched it, really.
It's inexcusable, I think. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's nuts to me that I don't have a need for that show.
Yeah, nobody really talks about it either. I don't even know if anybody's anticipating.
Kevin Marks will have a problem with me saying this.
Like people, I feel like more people are just anticipating the next Punisher series than they are the next Defenders. Like the Defenders 2 could never happen, and I don't think anybody would ever be frustrated about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get excited for it again. It'll just be a thing, and that's just how much I'm worn out of that. It's weird.
I'd be anxious to see how people's reaction would even be to a Defenders 2 trailer dropping. Obviously, we'd have to see the rest of the series they come out with. But
I want them to spend some fucking money.
I agree.
Like,
you've obviously got it.
It was cool at first when it was like street level, like, hey, let's go to a block in Hell's Kitchen and like explore some of these characters. Okay, but let's do something else. Like, it didn't work for Iron Fist to be so reserved and restricted. It didn't work for the Defenders. Spend your fucking money. When you have a show that comes out a month later or 2 months later, like Mindhunter, that is so well done, so gorgeous, so good looking, there's a ton of scope in Mindhunter when there's not a lot of scope in Mindhunter.
Or just following Punisher in the sense that, like, their action set pieces were all relatively similar in how they were done.
Yeah.
All they did was, like, change locations. You know, they were in Kentucky. They were in a...
Texas.
They were in a building. Like,
I just think they should be ashamed of themselves. But seriously, spend some fucking money on your shows.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell?
I agree.
That's all I got.
Well, that was much longer than we anticipated, which is my fault.
You want to take a break, or do you want to have a brief movies, and then we can go to music last?
Let's do movies, trailing off of Defenders.
Yeah.
Talking about Defenders on the big screen.
I do.
Some would call it the Avengers.
I did. I wanted to run through a few things. We don't have. I just want takes. I don't want discussion. You see the picture of Robin for the Titan series? It looks fantastic.
Don't care.
You don't care at all?
No, I want to see Nightwing.
I agree.
And he looks. I don't know. He looks too. I don't know. He looks too much like Robin.
I think it's easily the best superhero imagining on television.
Nothing
as far as the look and costume.
Yeah,
it's great.
For me personally, it's just down to the fact that nothing about Robin makes me excited.
I get that. It looks great, but it surpassed my expectations when it came to Titans on DC streaming. Like, I cannot wait to see what it all looks like.
Yeah,
I'm pretty pumped.
The most exciting thing for me about that is the fact that I don't know how you possibly introduce Robin without discussing Batman. And Batman on TV is something that I would still love to see.
I kind of just think you could do it.
I mean, that's what they're going to do. But it's just like, even having him brought up in casual conversation on that show would be exciting to me.
I agree. I just think it's really cool, and I really like those characters. So I can't wait to see that show now. Bryan Singer disappearing from the set of the Freddie Mercury movie. I looked into it, and it's apparently for some health issue, because you and I were going back and forth. Like, it's due to all this drama, like the sexual misconduct allegations, things like that. And I guess it still could be, but I didn't realize he had a leave of absence from like X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh yeah,
and some other movie, like Jack the Giant Slayer. Maybe there was. This is a pattern.
I didn't even know he did that movie, but okay.
Yeah, this is a pattern apparently. So he's expected to return after the holidays.
Okay.
So I don't know what the hell's going on, but we instantly went to.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff pending. Alleged misconduct.
My actual theory was that he left the country. Because when you hear he didn't show up for set, it's like, okay, did anyone call him? Like,
right. Yeah.
Like, so where is he?
It's like somebody wrote a report. He didn't come into work today.
and that's why you should always read articles instead of just getting things from the headlines. He's missing. James Cameron, love his movies. Think he's a great filmmaker. He is a dumbass when he talks. I don't remember where it was, and so I'll paraphrase too because I don't have it in front of me. But he finally confronted the idea of Rose leaving Jack to die off the big door, because it was even done on Mythbusters that the door was big enough to support Jack as well, and obviously that's one of the most criticized parts of all of Titanic. Right. People always go to that over the years. So finally he wanted to put it to bed, and his reasoning was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
And he literally brought up the fact that, look, movies are supposed to play to you emotionally. The priority is to play to you emotionally and not necessarily realistically. So if Jack had survived on the door, then we wouldn't have had all the other moments with an older Rose being heartbroken.
Right.
So his point...
So don't make it a door.
Well, it's like... I'll get there. So his overall point to wrap it all up was, look, just to put this to bed, you open page number 147 in the script and it says he dies, so he dies. And it's like, James Cameron, what the hell does that mean when you could have just had a smaller prop?
Right.
We're not talking about changing the fucking script. Just, you're the director and you figure those things out on the day or in prep. It's like, you did not bring your way out of that argument. You gave us absolutely nothing. And it was just an article full of stupid remarks.
Agreed. My take. Give him a log.
The Avengers Infinity War trailer.
Terrible. I'm just kidding.
We took off work. We knew that it was going to debut on Good Morning America.
I watched it sitting at my desk.
Did you really?
Well, yeah. I sent it to like 3 people.
Did you watch Good Morning America?
No.
Oh.
It just showed up on YouTube.
Yeah. I woke up shortly after on purpose. I was like ready. I was like, look, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to watch the trailer. I'm going to make a video. Made the video. Trailer's great.
Yeah. Here's one funny thing about the whole conversation with the trailer is that it seems like everybody's pointing to the fact that, man, they're spoiling a lot from stuff we haven't seen. Like, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok that he has an eye patch. Spoiler alert for Black Panther. Black Panther survives. We know. Captain America, he's back again. Bucky's unfrozen. It's like, listen, I'm applauding Marvel because they are basically saying our audience aren't stupid. Like, I made that whole comment about how it was just sort of interesting to me that, you know, they would put Wonder Woman. Well, the fact that Justice League was coming out so close to Wonder Woman coming out, I thought that was interesting. I thought it could confuse people. But this is different. Obviously, they have a much longer track record. And they were just like, we're just going to show some cool footage. Like, we're not going to think about all this other bullshit.
It's interesting for a few reasons. I thought that this trailer was going to come out during The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Because they even announced that, I from what I remember. So it was a nice surprise.
And it probably still is, but it's not going to debut before the mill.
No, I meant like it was going to be out on YouTube that day.
Oh, yeah.
And because that was, I think they announced that. But anyway, we obviously know it still could air during that. I just went for the first time. So I think I'm seeing a lot of people bitch about Thanos.
Really? I haven't heard anybody.
I've
seen a lot of praise for Thanos.
People are freaking out about his skin tone because, and I made this observation, but I was observing. I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't criticizing. Movie to movie, Thanos looks completely different.
Yeah,
if you look at it side by side. I mean, at the end
Which makes sense.
At the end of the Avengers, he's Barney purple, and he's even pretty purple in Guardians of the Galaxy. But even like the CGI quality is different from movie to movie. So it's like people were observing what I had observed, which was he looks different in everything. People are freaking out because he is pink. Shut up.
Yeah, who cares? Nobody cares about that.
It literally doesn't matter. And I know that there might be some example of something that I'm precious about that the movie changes, but I try not to get caught up in all that shit because the fact that you were worried about the hue of his skin, it's ridiculous. Especially when you can praise how much better it looked than Steppenwolf in Justice League. I know there are some people whose opinions are it doesn't look that much different. There are DC fans are saying, "Look, you have this, but you bitch about Steppenwolf."
One was awful.
I wouldn't say Steppenwolf is awful. I expect better than what we got with Steppenwolf. And Thanos looks damn good. Right. And you can also I still see like Brolin's eyes. Like they look really, really good. And it also just matters a whole lot more, especially when you consider the Marvel movies from time to time. It actually matters that they really get this right here because he is on full display. He is the villain of this movie. And they've even been quoted as saying, and we're not even sure what it means yet, but this is Thanos' movie.
Yeah.
So
those are
And this is arguably one of the most expensive movies made of all time. So here we are. And we have a great looking Thanos. And you finally get to the point where this character is now at the forefront. You've waited, 5 years to see Thanos on the big screen? And it's, or by this point, 6 years. And it's like, are you really that spoiled to freak out about the hue of his skin?
I mean, that's sort of my take in general with the entire trailer is just, well, not just a trailer, but the concept of this movie is that the big topic of conversation leading up to this film is that how in the hell are they going to juggle all of this stuff? Well, they sort of just traverse that by saying, well, it's not going to be all of these. It's going to be obviously all these people's film, but we're going to focus on and spend the most time with Thanos. That's what I'm assuming. Our through line to get to all of these people, of course, we're going to see them coming together, but to get to all of them, he's got to go through all of them.
Yeah.
And that's interesting and that's cool and that's fascinating. The other thing that I picked up on this, after spending a considerable more amount of time with Civil War, the CGI in that film gets worse every time I watch it, I feel like. And I would be remiss if I didn't think that, the Russo brothers could pick up on that as well. For a trailer on a small screen, I thought that the CGI, and there's a lot of CGI in this thing, I thought it looked really, really cool.
Yeah.
It looked really, really good. So I praise it for that, and they need to pull out all the stops. This is not only, obviously there's 2 of these Avengers films that are going to be coming out, but this is what we've been building to, and they need to pay it off.
And you feel it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that narration and the music, I mean, it's been said over and over, but I agree 100%. Like, this truly felt like it was a culmination of I remember seeing Iron Man in theaters 10 years ago.
I mean, if they would have done a trailer for, a massive Game of Thrones like set piece, like the battle beyond the wall, I would imagine it would feel like what this trailer was.
It was really powerful, and that's what we've always liked about Marvel is that we're able to build with these characters and they have arcs. But I'm just glad that you could really feel it just from the trailer, the stakes and the impact that this movie is really going to have. So I thought that was really great, and it's really rewarding as a fan. That's another reason why I think it's so silly to get stuck on this Thanos thing. It's like, look, you have everything else. They literally threw the kitchen sink at you. It totally lands as a trailer, and that's what you're thinking about. It's
I'm seeing some people online, people, and especially in the Collider space, do something with this film that I hate when they do with Star Wars movies, just making statements about things that they have no basis to make statements about. There's a shot of Thanos like holding a beaten Spider-Man down, and people are like, well, Spider-Man's probably going to die in this movie. No. And I'm just like, since when? And then they lead to things like, and obviously that's going to happen because, Doctor Strange can change time. And it's like, we know that. We know he can do that. But just because of that and this other shot doesn't mean that Spider-Man's going to die.
I think the one thing you talked about CGI looking good. I think the one thing that's blaring, and I haven't seen anyone make this point. I think the one thing that's blaringly just low in quality is that shot of Iron Man. There's a brief shot of his suit when Thanos beats the shit out of him. It's the worst the Iron Man suit has ever looked.
I feel like that of all of them, of all of the CGI that they've done, they've had the most time to perfect Iron Man. And I feel like now more than ever, they're just like, throw this random render.
Well, it's actually like public knowledge that if you look at 2008's Iron Man, it's one of the most photorealistic things I've ever seen, period, in cinema, how good that suit looks. And they realized that over time, audiences didn't care about the photorealistic Iron Man, so they quit spending the money on it. And that's why Iron Man's suit over time has progressively gotten worse and worse. And Captain America Civil War was the worst it's looked up until this point.
I didn't think it looked great in Spider-Man.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. So, because I'm not the people freaking out about Pink Thanos. It doesn't really bother me.
Right.
I can observe it, and I wish it wasn't the case, but it doesn't ruin it. But when I look at that trailer, I thought like, man, they are spending money on everything else but Iron Man suit.
Yeah. I'm excited about this movie. I'm probably more excited than I thought that I was. You want to talk about forgettable things? IMO. I've only seen Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron once each.
Really?
I like them both.
Mm-hmm.
I will not go any further than that. I saw them. I think many of the Marvel movies are better than both of those films. Like, I think Avengers is a good movie, but I think there's many other Marvel movies that are better than the Avengers.
Sure.
But I feel like that's sacrilege to people just because it was a team-up movie. And it was good. So it should be held in the highest regard.
I mean, the first Avengers accomplishes a lot. And it has a lot of great moments.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not really arguing the merit of the Avengers, but I mean, I don't disagree that of course there are other Marvel movies that are better.
Right.
But anyway, I feel really good about where we're headed. I think that Thanos is going to sort of like kidnap Tony Stark and bring him to that alien planet. Because him and Spider-Man, I think, are the only ones that are sitting on that planet in the trailer. Maybe Thor is. I don't know where Thor is always. But I remember a behind-the-scenes video. It's they're interviewing Robert Downey Jr., Tom Holland's there, and Chris Pratt. And they're all standing in front of a green screen. So I have to assume that they're the only characters that are hanging out with Thanos in space. Because you see all the other people like in Wakanda. Like Captain America and War Machine and Black Panther, they were all fighting on Wakanda, and it looks like Thanos kidnaps Stark, and that's when you see him beat down Spider-Man. It looks like it's that alien planet. So
give me three people that die in this movie.
Vision, which I don't think a lot of people are going there, but I just don't know what happens when you take the stone out of his head.
Right. I want to see White Vision. I need Kevin Marks to give me, and I might have asked him this before. I want to know why Vision turns white in the comic books.
I think if Marvel really wants to make an impact and actually really kill a character, I'm not saying that Vision is the character that we're most invested in, because personally I'm not.
There's a lot you can do with killing Vision, because the entire House of M storyline was based on that.
Well,
Vision
but
dying.
It's also...
Well,
that's a good point.
Actually, that's not true. Scarlet Witch's children dying, I believe.
But I think, and they said this in Age of Ultron. He's the only character that can lift Thor's hammer.
Right.
So he's that powerful. I think it would say a lot if Thanos was able to kill Vision. And again, couple that with, I don't know what happens to Vision when you remove an Infinity Stone. Does he just turn to dust, or is he there but without power? Like, I don't know what that means. So. Right. I guess he's technically still AI, or I don't know what happens there. So I would say Vision. I think Iron Man's gone. Tony Stark's gone. I think he will be some kind of catalyst. And again, because I love all the points made on Collider, but everything bad that the MCU is hinged on happens kind of because of him. So I think that of all the characters to want to or feel the need to die for the Avengers, to sacrifice themselves, it would be Tony Stark, Iron Man.
I think Cap and Iron Man are both going.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be surprised what if I just said something like, what if I was like Rocket?
I think the third one will be someone like,
Hawkeye.
I was gonna say, but did we ever see him in the trailer? I don't think we did.
No, but people have been talking about that. Listen, I actually think, I don't know if dying is necessarily the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they took Hulk out of the picture for a while. I think anytime he's around in the MCU, much like Superman, he's such a foil to solve the problem. Obviously, he poses a lot of problem just being Thor, but I think it would do a lot to just have Hulk not be a factor, whether it be like harm Bruce Banner's ability to turn into Hulk or whatever the case may be.
Maybe, but I don't know how. But I mean, he is seen in that last shot, the the charging shot that's led by Captain America and Wakanda. He is in the background of that shot, so he definitely does get some action.
We have to keep in mind too that this is one of 2 films as well.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's why. Yeah, I mean, if you want to argue, I don't know if Tony Stark is going to die here.
Right.
He could die in the next one.
Right.
But anyway.
Yeah. That's it for movies. I need to take a break because I have to pee again.
All right, that's fine. We'll take a break.
We're going to come back. We're going to get into some Grammy discussion, go through not all of the nominees because there's way too many, but some of the nominees in the big categories, maybe make some picks, and talk a little Frank Ocean news. We'll be right back. The Sight and Sound YouTube page is the place to be. We always appreciate you checking out all the content we put out here on our podcast feed, but there is a ton of supplementary content in addition to what we talk about here. I'm over there doing album reviews for all the latest album releases. Ryan has you covered with movie news, reactions, and reviews. And from time to time, we even do television reactions in addition to original content that honestly is just meant to entertain you. Go to the description box of this podcast, click the link for the YouTube channel, and subscribe for even more sight and sound goodness. All right, we're going to close up shop here, talking about a couple of things. One, I talked last week about my Frank Ocean experience of buying that wacky-ass hoodie.
Is that the one you're wearing right now?
No, it doesn't come in for like another 3 weeks. I'm wearing the same hoodie as I wore last week.
I know. I wanted you to say what was on your hoodie again.
This is coloring book.
It's funny. Coloring book.
Yeah. Listen, Frank Ocean has been toying with his fans for the last like 5 or 6 years, pretty much. He's been doing some wacky ass shit, but lately, after the whole Black Friday shenanigans, he decided to take to his only known social media source, which is his Tumblr page, and post about, actually, I think you might have a Twitter that's hard to find, but he posted that he had already finished what would be his 5th album, and he hasn't put it out yet. And the thing that's frustrating about this is that he has a history, a very maligned history of leading his fans down a road of promises that he doesn't deliver on. Famously giving out album release dates and those dates coming and nothing coming out. So I think that's why I always say the same phrase of it's a very frustrating and anxious period to be a Frank Ocean fan when you're waiting.
Is it that he throws out these dates, these phantom dates? Is it that he's like just a couple weeks late, or his next album just doesn't even come close to that date he predicted? Okay.
That's what we're facing.
That's weird.
It is weird, and it's sort of a part, I think, of just his persona at this point. He's a very cryptic individual, but look, we went from, just to give you the timeline here, 2012, Channel Orange comes out, high praise. Next album he drops 2 albums, Endless and Blonde, 5 years later. And then that was last year in 2016. And all of 2017, he's essentially written a playbook and a guide to keep the heat meter for yourself, not just hot, but fiery red hot. He released 2 albums towards the later end of last year, and people have been enjoying it all year long. But he's also periodically released these 4 singles that were very, very good and very, very well received throughout the entire year. That's just kept his name on the tip of people's tongues. And now promising a potential 5th album, I think, is just continued the buzz even more. I think it's impressive. This is a guy who went from frustrating fans to delivering potentially 3 albums in 3 years, plus these 4 fire singles. It's just, I don't know. It's nuts.
I didn't know that whole date issue, but prior, when we talked off air about it, part of me was wondering, like, how do his fans know what to expect? Like, you sort of changed the narrative now that I know a little bit more about it, but part of me was like, why are fans getting that bummed out?
Yeah.
Like, why does it matter to fans that he gets to that 5 album milestone?
Right.
Like I didn't really understand that part of it, because I know you said that's a personal goal that he had, which was 5 albums by 30. But it's like if that just means you get the 5th album 5 months after he's turned 30, and he
Right.
he didn't make that goal by 5 months, then does it actually really matter? Like why did the fans expect that of him, when I get maybe having a personal goal, but
I don't think anybody was necessarily like fully expecting it. Like, he better fucking do it. But I think more than anything, so much of Frank Ocean has not only just become celebrated, even the shortcomings in terms of his releases, but all of this stuff. This is Frank Ocean fan culture at this point,
right?
And I think if he didn't deliver, or if he didn't address it, this is a guy who is known to frequently lurk on his own Reddit page. And he's familiar what his fan community says about him. And around his 30th birthday, people were all reposting that. Where's the 5th album, Frank?
Right.
Where's the 5th album?
Right.
He could honestly be trolling his own fans. But, there's a lot of fun to be had there with that. Frustrating, but fun.
I'm looking at it from a different angle, because I'm not what you would consider a Frank Ocean fan. Not that I dislike him. I'm just not. I don't like music.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of like where we are as far as movie goes, where we are with Tarantino. The fact that he is claimed for several years now he only has 10 films. He likes the idea of making 10 films and then he's done. And as a fan of his and as a fan of cinema, I hate to think that there won't be a Tarantino. One day there won't be a Tarantino in Hollywood. But the reality is, if he's going to stop at 10, take your time. Like, I'm fine with waiting that much longer. If it means, if he has 2 movies left, I'm fine with waiting 5 years in between each one.
Yeah.
Because I don't want him to stop making them completely. And so hearing that Frank Ocean, he wants to have 5 by the time he's 30, I feel like that sounds like such a big number. And I know there are plenty of bands like in our underground like rock space that have made maybe like 5 or 6 albums, but it's like, to me, the longevity of an artist has a lot to do with how many albums you've put out, because it's very rare to hear that an artist is like, oh, here's his 10th album. The more albums he puts out, I feel like that speaks to the lifespan of his career. And I might be stretching. I might be the only one that is thinking of it this way, but the longer he takes in between albums sort of means that it keeps him from getting burnt out. It keeps him from taking a break. It keeps him from disappearing completely. So, like, it blows my mind that he released 2 albums at once. The work that must have gone into that.
Well, there's 5 years. There's a 5-year gap there.
You're right. Yeah. But it's like, well, then that could be another conversation. Like, why couldn't that have been spread out?
Well, but, I think a lot of it a lot of everything that you're talking about goes along with the story. I think beyond the music that he's putting out. I mean, one of the reasons he took such a long hiatus, I mean, not just a hiatus. He didn't just not make music. I mean, he essentially disappeared off the face of the earth. This is a guy nobody knows anything about. Nobody knows what he's doing. He's managed.
He's gay.
He's gay. Somehow, some way, shape, or form, he's been able to just avoid the celebrity status in terms of like paparazzi and this and that. Not that people don't take pictures of him. He controls his own narrative, which is fascinating for
like me. That's cool
to be. Yeah, I mean, he's more like you and I than he is. I mean, apparently he was just hanging out with Kanye West for like a long stretch of Kanye West losing his mind, but nobody has any proof of it.
Like me. That's cool.
It's that's fascinating. One of the reasons that he took the time off was because of that burnout that you talk about. Channel Orange was such a different release because it was much more commercially palatable than the stuff he's putting out now. And he was touring a lot more heavily. There's not a lot of live performances online of Frank Ocean because his music came out so long ago with Channel Orange.
Right.
That it sort of was before people were doing that. And one of the reasons he took such a long time off was because he had a stretch where he didn't like all the press he was doing. And he infamously did a performance on the Grammys that he was not technically happy with. And a lot of people speculate that may have he might have just been like, fuck it, I'm done for a while. I think now more than ever, he's hit a little bit of a creative stride. And I think to your point, what you're saying, and I've been very outspoken about this, artists who put out albums too quickly and too consecutively, there is a quality drop off.
Yeah.
There are many, many examples of it, and it rarely works out. However, what I will say, at least for my own intrigue and interest, he is doing things so against the grain of what the modern expectations are of his music genre, of hip hop, rap, R&B, all that stuff. I mean, it just sounds like something else.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me to see. And the fact that we still don't know these 4 tracks that he released this year, were they leftovers? Were they B-sides? Or did he create them from scratch? And if he's creating them from scratch, might be 4 of the best songs he's ever written. So it's just like he's at his peak right now. Why not take advantage of it? But
yeah, it's
just fun to follow along with. I think if you're interested in stuff like this, and if you're not, it's just like it's hard to follow. I think.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is, I guess. Let's talk about the Grammys. You made your comparison with Frank Ocean to some movie stuff, which I think is fascinating because I talked about this on my music show. The Grammys are supposed to be the Oscars for music or the Emmys for music.
Right.
But let's compare the Grammys and the Oscars for a second. There is a negativity surrounding award shows in general, right? When you say that's safe to say that there's always some sort of negative, like Oscars so white or
kinda, and I think that especially with
whether they're not representative or something like that.
That kind of I can't remember which one it was. I don't know if it was the Emmys, but like this, it was some recent award show. It ended up being like some of the lowest numbers that they've ever had. I think that over time, just less people care about these things. These in particular, though, especially with the Oscars, maybe there's just kind of like a snobbiness to them.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see how Oscars play out with, Hollywood going up in flames as we know it right now. So that'll be interesting. But if you want to make that direct comparison to the Oscars, you can sort of inform me and inform everyone else if that's the case for the Grammys as well.
The negativity for the Grammys specifically, like you can, and what I said on my music show is you can always find something to be negative about. You can always nitpick something. Like last year, the conversation was the fact that the Grammys weren't representative of the music culture right now.
Mm-hmm.
That you had artists like Frank Ocean, like Drake and Justin Bieber protesting the Grammys because they just didn't feel like they were representing popular music, or not necessarily popular music, but just music in general. At one point, the Grammys were criticized for sort of segregating their music genres. Like all of the black artists were sort of segregated to their genres, like rap, hip hop, and R&B, and like in things like pop and whatever rock or whatever the case may be, they weren't really represented there.
Right.
That's changed quite a bit. This is one of the most culturally diverse Grammys we've ever had.
And I remember doing this last year when we took a look at it. I was pretty surprised with how diverse even last year was. Like, you've talked a lot about seeing artists like Sturgill Simpson in there.
Yeah.
And I remember like one year being shocked that like Arcade Fire won for their album.
One best album, yeah.
Yeah. So
Mumford & Sons won best album.
Yeah. So but last year when we went over it last year, I remember being kind of shocked at some of the albums that were represented, some of the artists that were represented.
And I think if we're nitpicking things this year, and I don't agree with this, but I saw an article was like, are the Grammys being sexist, or where are all the women? And it's just like there's kind of a lot there. Like I kind of don't get it. So there's always something negative to sort of.
I feel like music
pinpoint.
is where women are represented the most.
Right, exactly. Especially last year, you had Beyonce and Adele battling it out in every single category.
Beyonce, Lady Gaga,
exactly.
Demi Lovato, like all of those.
Demi Lovato getting nominated? I don't know.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
Taylor
music
Swift?
in general.
Yeah.
The music landscape in general.
Yeah,
I think there's a ton of women that are well represented in music.
Yeah, so there is a lot of negativity that can just get spouted off just because you're feeling angsty about it. However, the one aspect of the Grammys that everybody has a right to be completely negative about is the fact that, and I said this last year and I'll say it every year that we cover the Grammys continue to specifically cater towards the commercial side of things. This is where the conversation and the comparison between the Oscars and the Grammys are interesting, because the Oscars are a direct opposite correlation to what the Grammys are, because the Grammys support what is popular. Whatever is selling the most is sort of like a flag waving, like, hey, pay attention to me for your Grammy contention. Whereas Oscars, the blockbuster movies, and people have been critical about it, just are not shown any love. And a lot of the indie darlings, the smaller release films are the ones that get a lot of the praise. Last year, it was more acceptable because last year was such a heavy year for so many megastars in music. I mean, there were so many great battles, kind of like we had with TV this year with like the limited release television shows. You had like The Night Of going up against Big Little Lies and stuff like that. Just these really great head-to-heads. That was last year for the Grammys. This year for the Grammys is, in my opinion, incredibly, incredibly thin of major like blockbuster stars. So much so that I'll tell you a fascinating finding that I had. My top 10 album of the year list was littered with people who are represented in the Grammys. I mean, so many people. Childish Gambino cleaned up in nominations this year. He was on my album of the year list. Sturgill Simpson was on my album of the year list. Kanye West. Frank Ocean wasn't considered because he withdrew, but I'm sure he would have gotten some,
Is Drake protesting the Grammys, or did he withdraw?
Drake protested the Grammys last year. This year he withdrew his consideration for More Life.
Okay.
But so I had a lot of people throughout my entire album of the year list represented in the Grammys. This year, virtually none of my picks are. There are some, but virtually none of my picks are, because a lot of my picks are more underground, indie sort of artists. And I just
you mean James Vincent McMorrow isn't represented?
I mean, James Vincent McMorrow was nominated last year.
Oh,
so
was he?
I
suck.
So it's just like, it's just interesting how, it's like that. And listen, one other, and you can call me bitter about this, and that's fine. But all year I've been praising Sampha, and I've been lifting up Sampha, so much so as I predicted that he was going to get some award recognition. He won the Mercury Prize in Britain for the best album from a British artist, which doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, there are plenty of artists that have won that category, or that have won that prize and not been nominated. But it just checks so many boxes. The fact that he's hanging out with Solange Knowles and Drake and Kanye. It's just like, it seemed like that was going to be the case. This motherfucker, for his debut album, which was highly praised, didn't even get a Best New Artist nomination. He was completely snubbed. He's
lame.
He's the leftovers.
He's a very talented artist.
Incredibly talented artist. So definitely a bummer. It could be just because he's a little too indie and artistic and avant-garde for the Grammys. But I do want to go through some of these nominations, and we'll pick out, I know you probably haven't heard a lot of these, but
95%.
We'll just go with who you would like to win. How about that? Just for the hell of it.
I'm down.
All right. So for the album of the year, we've got Childish Gambino with Awaken My Love, Jay-Z's 444, Kendrick Lamar's Damn, Lord's Melodrama, and Bruno Mars' 24K Magic. Who do you want to win for album
Gambino
of the year? Yeah, I'm 100% on that, mainly because and RB3 and us talked about it, but I would love for him to get the trifecta. How many artists can say they've won an Emmy, an Oscar, and a Grammy?
Yeah.
Oscar's the one that's a little bit, it takes some, I don't think he has any movies on this, unless he just has a breakout performance for Lando Calrissian.
Which he won't, but that's fine. He might get nominated for his role in Spider-Man Homecoming.
There you go. This year's album of the year list, I'm a little bit more on board for than last year. I don't know if you remember last year, but you had Sturgill Simpson, which was sort of the dark horse pick.
Adele,
Beyonce, and then you had Drake's Views, which I don't even think Drake likes that album anymore. In fact, More Life was essentially a response, an apology for Views, and Justin Bieber's Purpose, excuse me. I like that album from Justin Bieber, but album of the year, you fucking kidding me? I mean, come on. But this year, it's a little bit more representative, I think, of what a lot of critics would appreciate. Jay-Z's 444, definitely one of his more ambitious albums he's ever put out. Lord's Melodrama from front to back is a really solid pop album. Bruno Mars is an incredibly talented artist. And the one artist on here that I just do not want to win this category, but I think they might give it to him in a Scorsese sort of vibe, is Kendrick Lamar's Damn.
Why don't you want him to get it?
Because Kendrick Lamar was snubbed for 2 albums that were far better than this.
Okay.
For Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly are 10 million times better than Damn. And Damn is his most commercially accepted and palatable album that he's ever released.
So it's the one I'm going to like the best.
Oh, 100%. So if he were to win for that, it would be like a check on the box of the Grammys.
It'll prove everything that you've said already about the Grammys.
Exactly. And it's super annoying.
I thought we were done with Bruno Mars. Like,
really?
I mean, I know what his songs are now. I'm not picking up what he's putting down, by the way. Like, I hear his songs. I don't particularly care for him, but I don't remember hearing about him.
Who performed at the Super Bowl last year?
I know, and I thought it was random.
Okay.
I don't remember. I didn't know Bruno Mars was still happening after Grenade.
Bruno Mars
is forever
is interesting, and especially so he cleaned up for the Grammys. I forget that song he did. It was like a collaborative song. It wasn't even on an album.
He also had some like sexual misconduct shakeup come up. This was years ago.
He's a little guy.
I just thought we were done with him.
He's also pulled over for cocaine. Anyways,
I remember that too.
Bruno Mars is one of those artists that I think the Grammys appreciates because he puts a ton of like effort into his production. So like you will see like a big band back him up.
Oh, I've seen his concerts on Snapchat.
Yeah, what was Phil doing at that Bruno Mars concert?
I've seen a lot of people post from there.
Bruno Mars, 24K Magic is a good song, and That's What I Like is, oh my God, I love that song. It's such a good song.
I don't like it.
That's what I like. Anyways.
I don't like it.
All right. Kendrick Lamar winning. Listen, people like were threatening Anthony Fantano because he gave that album a 7 out of 10. In my opinion, it's just his most least interesting album. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Record of the Year, which also translates to essentially like sort of single of the year, excuse me. Childish Gambino's Redbone, Louis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee, Justin Bieber for Despacito. Are you familiar with that song?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Jay-Z's The Story of OJ, Kendrick Lamar's Humble, Bruno Mars, 24K Magic.
I think Despacito is going to win. I legitimately think it's going to win.
I could see something like that happening.
For one, that's all I heard this summer was that song. 2, it's actually formulated based on how our brain functions.
Did you hear this on the shitty radio station you listened to at your day job?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I just read something about it. This song was written to adhere to what your brain believes to be the best, based on like how catchy it is,
beats
and things
per
like
minute.
that. Yeah,
you'd be surprised how many songs are actually written that way.
Well, not just beats per minute, but just structure and things like that, melody, things like that. But and 3 because it would mean the first Latino winning that category. So I think it just has everything going for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at this list, and is Bruno Mars? Is he Hispanic? Is he Latino, or is he from like Hawaii or something? I don't know. Regardless,
I think he's African American. I think he's mixed.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about diversity? Justin Bieber is the only white guy here, and he's a featured artist on the Despacito song. But a very diverse crowd here: Hispanic, African American. Yeah. The song here that I want to win would actually be Humble by Kendrick because I think it's the best song here. And like, for instance, I think Redbone is a great song.
Yeah.
But the most impressive thing to me about that album is the album, like not one particular song.
Right.
Song of the year, we got Despacito again.
Same argument.
Yeah, Jay-Z 444, Julia Michaels with Issues, Logic's Suicide Hotline song.
Issues.
And Bruno Mars, That's What I Like. You know, I don't even like that Logic song. That Logic album is really fucking good.
Yeah.
But it's by far not the best song on that album.
Right.
In my opinion. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he walked away with something. That's one thing that the Grammys like to do is they like to spread their, except for Adele, they like to spread their awards around a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing Bruno Mars walk away with that.
You know what song I think is really uninteresting right now that's
What's that?
popular on the radio is Slow Hands. I can't think of who sings it. Slow Hands.
I don't know.
You don't know that song?
No, not familiar.
It's very popular. Whoever sings Slow Hands, that song never changes. It's totally uninteresting, and for whatever reason, it's popular. Okay. Small rant. I thought you would know what I was talking about,
No,
but
I'm
never
sorry.
mind.
I'm just gonna sort of scroll through some of these. Like we could go through all these pop ones. The one that I think is hilarious, the best pop vocal album. The first nomination is Coldplay's Kaleidoscope EP. Why did they nominate an EP?
I don't know.
And what is Coldplay doing?
I didn't even remember that being highly regarded. When that came
It wasn't.
out.
It was like some B-sides.
So what the hell's going on there?
I don't know. Go figure. Lana Del Rey's Lust for Life, a very forgettable album in my opinion. Imagine Dragons, Evolved. Does anybody care about that band? Kesha's Rainbow, that might be one of the more...
You just had a Mike Ryan take again.
What?
I can't remember what Le Batard asked, but he was just basically, it wasn't even a music conversation. It was like anything. He was like, what's the one thing you look at and wonder why it's as big as it is? And people could have just been like, toilet seats. And Mike Ryan just throws out, Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, exactly. We're the same person. Kesha's Rainbow, which is it's a solid one. Lady Gaga, Joanne.
Both of her songs are great.
Ed Sheeran, his Divide album. It would be hilarious if Ed Sheeran won this because I've never seen an album reviewed so low by Pitchfork. I mean, it was super low.
That song that he did with Beyonce just came out. Right?
Yeah, I haven't even listened to it yet, to be honest with you.
Same.
But whatever. I don't really have a pick there. Best traditional pop vocal album, definitely don't have one. I mean, Seth MacFarlane, Sarah McLachlan, various artists. Tony Bennett celebrates 90.
That's my pick.
Okay.
I fucking love
Michael
Tony
Bublé.
Bennett. Holy shit.
Best rap performance. This one's hilarious to me. Big Sean's Bounce Back. I think Big Sean is nothing. Cardi B's Bodak Yellow, which is your number one pick for what are they called? One hit wonder of the decade. Do you know anything about Cardi B?
No. I have no idea what that is.
She is a famous she was a reality TV star personality on Love and Hip Hop. And they were just like, hey, let's make a song for you. And she has a massive hit single. It would be like if Paris Hilton.
She was made in a factory.
Exactly.
Like, my pick is Humble by Kendrick, by the way.
Really? I would actually like to see Bad and Bougie take that one away. Clicking on the iPhone, ... Raindrops, dropped up. Going through other stuff here. Best rap album, Kendrick Lamar's Damn, Jay-Z's 444, Migos Culture, Rhapsody, Lalia's Wisdom, which I have no idea what that is, and Tyler the Creator's Flower Boy. Now this is the first. This is actually, I'm sorry, any of Kendrick's stuff that's been on there is in my list somewhere. Tyler the Creator. I mean, we're talking about top 5 album for me here, and this is the first of these things it's even popped up. Migos has no business on this.
I agree.
At all.
I did not care for that album at all.
Tyler the Creator's Flower Boy is by far and away, in my opinion, not only the best album here, it's the most diverse, it's the most instrumentally rich, and just all in all, it's the most interesting album that sits on this list. And all I'm saying here is if you have not listened to this Tyler the Creator album, but yet you're still holding Jay-Z's 444, Migos Culture, or Kendrick Lamar's Damn in high regard, do yourself a fucking favor. Stop being a little dong and go out there and listen to that Tyler, the Creator album, because it is straight fucking fire.
Woo!
It's a great album. Here we go. Best rock performance. Leonard Cohen's You Want It Darker. Your thoughts on that album? All right, let's move on.
Did you hear a grasshopper?
Chris Cornell's The Promise. This is what I call the posthumous nomination. Nobody would have given a shit about this, but he died. So I listened to this, and it was whatever. Sorry.
When this Foo Fighters album came out, Carl had messaged me at like midnight. At midnight when that album came out, or 3 a.m. whenever it came out. He asked me the minute it came out, have you heard the album yet? And it's like, motherfucker.
First of all, how many conversations have you had with Carl?
Very few. But this was the one time he messaged me. And I was like, yeah, I'll let you know what I think. I still have not heard that Foo Fighters album.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
And I don't have a reason.
There are so many better rock albums that have come out this year than any of these that are on this list. But now we're getting to the good stuff. That is the best metal performance. Are you ready?
Yeah.
First name on the list. August Burns Red, Invisible Enemy.
That's my vote.
That album. If you just want to go to our YouTube channel and look at the comments in that video and just watch how much I fucking hated that album.
Yeah. Well,
just please check it out.
That song is fun, so that's my vote.
Body Count's Black Hoodie, which is great to see Ice-T. Ice-T is the singer for the metal band and hardcore band Body Count.
Oh.
Signed to Sumerian Records. How do you feel about that?
Ice-T of Law and Order SVU fame?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mastodon Sultan's Curse, which wasn't even the best Mastodon album that came out this year. They had an EP that was better than that. You give Coldplay a nomination, but you can't give the better Mastodon project something. Meshuggah's Clockworks, which I haven't even heard that album, but I'm a big Meshuggah fan. Definitely the one that should take this is Code Orange Forever. This is what's hilarious about this.
Where's North Lane?
Exactly. That's what I've been saying this whole time. This is what's hilarious about Code Orange being on this list. Luke and I, primarily Luke, because I think this is his number one album of the year, but we've been pushing Code Orange pretty hard and celebrating it. And people are like, okay, here's Ryan and Jay, well, not Ryan and Jay, Luke and Jay talking about some random band. And yet here this band is on this list, produced by Kurt Ballou from Converge, this album, which would be fantastic to get him a Grammy. And it's just cool, man. I mean, regardless of if you care about this band or not, this band and August Burns Red are the closest to anybody from the scene that we came up in to win this.
Yeah.
Or to be nominated for this.
Well, I think ABR would be that.
That's what I said. August Burns Red or Code Orange. They're more from the hardcore, metalcore genre. Here's what I will say to just drop a little bit of a hot take on this Code Orange album. I like this. This will be in my album of the year list. This also represents, and Luke is going to be pissed when he hears me say this, Code Orange being nominated for a Grammy and being hailed as this, great hardcore album just shows how thin the genre is and starved for ideas. Outside of the fact that they did some weird and wacky electronic stuff in like the transitions of some of their parts and songs, sounds like a bunch of other stuff we've heard before.
I mean, I think you could say looking ahead at the best rock song, the fact that is there really nothing else besides Foo Fighters, Avenged Sevenfold, and Metallica?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's wrong with your genre when that's all you've got considered for best rock song?
I mean,
and I don't even think any of those stand out as actual songs. I don't remember that Metallica album.
Yeah.
I listened to that whole thing front to back.
Yeah.
Once.
The thing about, and this is especially as somebody who is more akin to the rock genre and has maybe paid a little bit more closer attention to it this year than you have in the past, me especially, because one of the things I said at the beginning of this year is I want to pay more attention to rock music.
Yeah.
And my list shows it, man. I mean, so many great rock albums came out this year, and I appreciate it. It doesn't necessarily mean that the genre is on the upturn, but at least commercially, but this list of best rock songs, Metallica's Atlas Rise, K-Flay, Blood in the Cut, which I don't even know what that is. Nothing More is Go to War. Foo Fighters Run and Avenged Sevenfold's The Stage. That just displays to you how commercial this list is, because there are so many other amazing. I mean, think about this. Think about the Lower Than Atlantis album that came out earlier this year. How many great just individual tracks were on that album? I mean, you know, you at least throw You Me at Six a bone.
Seriously.
I mean, they have. I don't know, man. It's just such a bummer.
So far, what I've noticed is that Harry Styles isn't represented at all. Why?
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Why?
Unless he withdrew and we didn't know about it. That's actually a fantastic point, because not only did he have an album that was commercially successful, but it was actually very well received and well reviewed.
And he had a lot to prove.
Yeah.
And point proven.
I'm pretty sure Zayn Malik got nominated for some stuff.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Crazy. Surprising. Best rock albums: Mastodon's Emperor of Sand, Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct, Nothing More, The Stories We Tell Ourselves, Queens of the Stone Age Villains, and The War on Drugs, A Deeper Understanding. The only album here that had anything to impress me was Metallica's album, and it's not even that great. So I don't really know what to say about that. It's a bummer, right? When you start getting into it, it's more of a bummer than anything. Best alternative music album: Arcade Fire's Everything Now, Gorillaz' Humans. First of all, that Arcade Fire album, the fans didn't even really like that album. Why is it on this list? Gorillaz' Humans, LCD Sound System, Father John Misty's Pure Comedy, and The National, Sleep Well Beast. The two albums here on this list, Father John Misty's Pure Comedy is a really special album. And it's an interesting album. You would have nothing to do with it, but it is a special album. And one of his songs, actually the song Pure Comedy, for a while was on my standalone singles of the year list, but it actually got bumped. But it is a good album. I would like to see The National win, even though I don't care for that album. But the only reason is because Justin Vernon from Bon Iver had something to do with that album, and the fact that he would just get like a tip of the hat from his buddies in The National. I'm gonna skip best R&B performance. Let's see, what else can we do? Going down through here, dance. No, nobody cares about dance. Best comedy album: Dave Chappelle's The Age of Spin and Deep in the Heart of Texas, Jim Gaffigan, Jerry Seinfeld, Sarah Silverman, and Kevin Hart. Who'd you like to win out of that list?
Chappelle.
Really? Over Jerry?
That special was him just kind of cycling through his life. It wasn't built on an actual set. And some of the jokes that he even said within it were some of his older jokes. So that I don't even think that deserves to be nominated.
Best compilation soundtrack for visual media: Baby Driver, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hidden Figures, La La Land, and Moana.
Moana.
Really?
I watched Moana the other day. I think
it's such a special movie.
I think the music is great. Guardians, I thought the soundtrack was 100% less memorable than the first. Baby Driver, I didn't think anything of that. And it's funny because music plays a huge part in that movie. And I didn't have a great theater experience for that movie, but I didn't take it.
For what movie? I'm sorry?
Baby Driver.
Okay. Really? What was wrong with your theater experience?
I think it was purely just the sound quality. It was just kind of a quiet movie. And I've had a few of those instances at the particular theater that I went to, so maybe I should stop doing that. But I wasn't engulfed in the film the way that you want to be when you see it in theaters. So a movie an action movie, but also one that depended so much on the soundtrack, it didn't feel like the beating heart of that film in the way that I felt it in the first Guardians.
Right.
So I didn't have that take away from it. So
yeah, I mean, now we're strictly talking about music, but if we're talking about the use of music in a movie, I think Baby Driver is a special movie. But I think I'm sick of La La Land winning awards. I'm that guy now. Not that it won a lot of awards, really. I mean,
I don't think La La Land deserves to be nominated for a musical. I don't think I don't think music is the highlight of that film.
I agree. I think Moana. I'm agreeing with you. I think it should take it. The Rock singing songs. You kidding me? I'm all about it. Best score and soundtrack. This is a Christian Harloff special here. Johan Johansson for Arrival, Hans Zimmer for Dunkirk, Ramin Djawadi for Game of Thrones Season 7, Hans Zimmer for Hidden Figures, and Justin Hurwitz for La La Land. I'm going to take La La Land out of there.
Take Arrival.
Again. You're taking Arrival for that? Really?
Mm-hmm.
This is the only time Game of Thrones can go up against movies.
Yeah.
I love the Game of Thrones score.
Yeah. Game of Thrones would be my second pick.
Who do you think is going to actually win, though? You think Arrival is going to actually win it? I mean, not take... Because this is more up your alley.
Hans Zimmer. He's nominated twice.
Okay.
He's also not only is he nominated twice, but he's held in the highest regard. I think La La Land has worn off over time. I mean, that was a year ago that movie came out. I think that's worn out its welcome. I think all of these other, even Arrival, I don't think Arrival has a chance to actually win.
Well, I mean, they're not taking into consideration when it came out and just what's, nominated.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm looking at it from an Oscar point of view.
Right.
Older movies don't stand a chance against some of the newer movies. So.
You know what's hilarious about this list? Of all of these things on this list,
it doesn't make sense.
Game of Thrones might be the most successful out of all these. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about commercial success.
Yeah.
That's hilarious that a TV show would do that. Best song written for visual media, Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, City of Stars.
No.
Ali Carvalho, How Far I'll Go. I don't even know what that is. Is that from Moana?
Maybe.
Sounds like something.
I think it's funny that the best song out of La La Land is the song that no one references when talking about La La Land, and it's actually the one that's done by John Legend in the scene that is their band. That's the best song on the soundtrack.
Right. For me personally, producer is something I always like to pay attention to. Calvin Harris. I don't know who Greg Kirsten is. Blake Mills. No ID. The Stereotypes. I would like to see No ID pick this up. He's a frequent collaborator with Kanye, and he did some work with that Jay-Z stuff, so that would be nice. I would have liked to have seen Gambino's producer on here because I thought the production on that album was really, really special. Music videos is interesting, but not going to get into it. And that's the end of the list. What a way to peter out. The Grammys just bums me out, man. Like they do.
I have no interest.
Should we protest the Grammys this year?
Sure.
Okay. I think I'll do that. And I'll just read them next year.
In what way? Like, are you going to make a video?
Just not watch.
Oh. I wanted you to come up with a way to have it benefit Sight and Sound in some way. So I didn't know if you would make controversial video. And blasting. I would love to see you rip the Grammys in some capacity.
Okay, I mean, I could do that. Why the Grammys is trash.
Rip it based on this list right here, and then watch it, and then rip it after you've seen it. No matter how good it is.
I'm going to do 5 reasons. 5 reasons why people hate the Grammys, and the first reason is going to be Coldplay's EP is nominated for an album. What's that about?
It's funny that you have that idea because I had the idea in 2018 to do 5 reasons why people hate the Oscars.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of award season, Critics' Choice is December 6th, so that's Wednesday. Golden Globes is next week. Screen Actors Guild is next Wednesday, and then we have the BAFTAs and then Oscars at the end of January. So even film award season is ramping up.
Upon us, yeah. It's an interesting time. A lot of debate to be had. It's when the movie that a lot of people considered to be one of the best ends up becoming hated. Like La La Land was like leading the conversation. It's definitely going to win everything. And then eventually they're like, we hate La La Land. It's like, okay, guys. Remember when The Dark Knight Returns was a terrible movie? Dark Knight Rises was a terrible movie?
Nope.
Yeah, me either.
Sure don't.
It's not great, but it's not terrible. All right, where can they find you online?
Twitter, Instagram, @WhatUpSnell. Hang out with me in the Sight and Sound Facebook group. We are working towards our top 50 superhero movie list. I'm done with the polling. We've done enough. We have a few scraps out there like... I can't think of the films. We have a bunch of random movies that didn't make the polls. I don't know how to categorize them, so we'll just throw them into the tiers. And we'll keep on chugging along. And you can follow along with that in the Facebook group and my Twitter. So definitely do that. And look up our Mr. Robot episode. We need to get up our T-shirt because there's like that show that only has like 2 weeks left.
That's right.
So,
that's right. It's all right. People want to buy it once it's done. Actually, you know what? That shirt is going to be successful.
When was the last time we sold a shirt? I feel like nobody's
the
bought
other
a shirt
day
in 3 months.
No, that's not true. You sold a Bill Finger shirt. Did you know that?
Bullshit.
I swear to God.
Success.
Happy birthday. What if that's what I got you for your birthday?
I'd be so pissed.
And it said sold one.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Jay?
You can find me online, social media, at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E on Twitter and Instagram. Same for both. Let's see. Schedule coming up for Sight and Sound Music. Next week, I'm going to be previewing on the music show the year in singles, which is funny because Ryan actually talked to me about kind of going over the year in short films or best scenes in movie. The 15th, December 15th, Last Jedi comes out, but it's also when I drop my top 10 standalone singles of the year, which is probably going to get all of 6 plays on that day, but that's fine. It's not for the greater internet. It's just for all you people listening. And then the following week, I'm going to be doing my album of the year list, 3 consecutive days. It's going to be fantastic.
My next movies episode will be me ripping the original trilogy of Star Wars. I will be putting that trilogy on blast.
That's it. All right. We'll see you guys later. Peter out. Goodbye.